Gray Venom stands defiant, its power surging within its own personal dungeon. It taunts Taehyun, claiming that as long as this place exists, its own mana supply is infinite. Pause for title card. Taehyun just smiles, a cold, confident light in his eyes. Is that so? Then, the world around them shatters, and the colossal form of Devour fills a blood-red sky. Taehyun stands before it, an absolute god in his own domain. He challenges the demon, "Let's see if it's still infinite in my world." Gray Venom is ripped from reality and thrown into a crimson abyss, completely disoriented. The space around it is a sea of roiling red energy, the very air thick with Taehyun's suffocating power. It floats in the blood-red space, looking around in confusion. Where am I? Suddenly, massive skeletal beasts rise from the crimson sea, and a swarm of demonic insects descends from the sky. Taehyun's inner world is a living nightmare, and he is its absolute ruler. Gray Venom realizes with a jolt of terror that the entity now before it is not the same one. It was just fighting. A new figure appears in the gloom, radiating an aura so immense it makes Venom's very essence tremble. That ominous power, "Who are you?" The entity, the true consciousness of Devour, speaks with cold, divine authority. "I never gave you permission to ask questions." Its crimson eyes lock onto Venom, identifying it with pure contempt. A bug serving Beelzebub. Venom is enraged. "How dare you speak my lord's name so lightly?" It asks if this entity is also a Grand Duke. Devour cuts it off. "How long do you plan to keep yapping with that foul mouth?" Blazing red chains erupt from the ground, wrapping around Gray Venom's limbs and binding it completely. Devour tells it to "get lost." Venom struggles, realizing its contractor Zhang Lung made a fatal mistake. It screams its true title, "I am the Gray Plague." It unleashes its corrosive power, boasting that there is no place it cannot melt away, even if this is the domain of a Grand Duke. Its acid spreads, attempting to eat away at Taehyun's world. But Taehyun's power simply smothers it, overwhelming the acid with pure, raw energy. A system message flashes in Venom's mind. A mysterious, absolute power is resisting. It looks up to see the true master of this domain, sitting on a throne of bone, watching with utter indifference. Venom can't believe it. "No! This is impossible!" The chains tighten, its power completely snuffed out. Taehyun watches, a cold, satisfied smile on his face. Gray Venom lets out a final, desperate scream. "This can't be happening! The power I received from Lord Beelzebub." Its struggles are useless. The chains pull it apart, and its body dissolves into nothing, completely and utterly erased from existence. Taehyun looks over the now silent domain. Finally, he says to himself, it's quiet. Back in the real world, outside the ruins of the lab, a man lands heavily on the ground. He looks at the widespread destruction, completely bewildered. Damn it, what in the world happened here? This is the US Rank 5 player, Montel Roman. He thinks back to his mission. As an investigator for the World Player Association and a key American player, his job was to protect Ricky Hollies. He remembers how she kept insisting she was fine on her own. She'd brushed him off, saying she'd already hired another bodyguard. But it's been hours, and there's been no contact. After feeling that insane surge of magic, he knew he had to take action. He rushes toward the source of the energy. He finds Ricky emerging from the trees, injured but alive. He calls out her name, rushing to her side to ask if she's all right. She recognizes him, and he's shocked to see her so badly hurt. For a player of her level to be in this state, he demands to know what happened. Ricky catches her breath, explaining that illegal monsterization experiments were being conducted inside. She looks back at the destroyed lab, her voice filled with regret. The people, I couldn't save them. The ground is littered with the bodies of the infected. Montel's expression hardens. This is far worse than he ever imagined. He tells her they need to get back to the association. But Ricky stops him. No, there's still someone left. He asks who she's talking about. She looks him in the eye, her expression deadly serious. From New Korea, Kim Taehyun. Montel's eyes narrow. If it's Kim Taehyun, just then, the ground trembles violently. Both of them feel a massive, terrifying wave of energy wash over them. A portal rips open in the sky above the ruins of the lab. A horde of monsters pours out, their roars echoing through the night. It's a full-blown dungeon break. Montel immediately shoves Ricky behind him, activating his own skill. Countless ethereal firearms materialize in the air around him. It's his signature move, genocide bullets. A storm of magical projectiles rains down on the monster horde. He turns to Ricky, telling her he doesn't know why she was with Taehyun, but with a dungeon break this massive, the chances of him surviving inside are close to zero. Ricky clenches her fist, refusing to accept it, but the horde is endless. For every monster they kill, 2 more take its place. Montel grits his teeth. God damn it, there's no end to them. He regrets not calling for backup sooner. Ricky prepares to fight beside him. She looks up at the massive beasts, her thoughts on one person. Kim Taehyun. She can't believe it. Did he really get taken down by that thing? Just as a monster is about to strike her, Montel shouts her name. She turns, her eyes widening in surprise. A dark, shadowy figure lands between her and the monster, effortlessly blocking the attack. Montel stares in shock. That is? With a single, fluid motion, the figure unleashes a wave of dark energy, slicing through the entire horde of monsters like they were nothing. A huge smile breaks across Ricky's face. She shouts his name with pure, unadulterated relief. Kim Taehyun. Taehyun lands softly, not even bothering to look back. He states simply, Venom is dead. He pulls out a knife, a cruel smile on his lips. Now, shall we take care of the small fry? His name was already echoing across the globe. First, the dungeon break in Japan, and now the dungeon break in China. Both were incidents that could have become continent-wide disasters, but both were stopped by a single player. Kim Taehyun of New Korea. The image of him standing alone against entire armies of monsters was quickly becoming a legend. Now, it wasn't just the Asian and American player associations, people all around the world were starting to pay attention to Taehyun's impossible achievements. Meanwhile, at the World Player Association headquarters, with more and more players like Taehyun appearing, players capable of hunting SS-Rank monsters, they began discussing a new system, a level beyond S-Rank. A new classification for a level of power that could no longer be measured by the old standards. SS-Rank players. A new era of power was dawning. Deep within a crimson, hellish dimension, a figure steps through a pool of blood. A man in a high-tech gas mask looks over a landscape of dead beasts. Impressive, he says. He's speaking to a wounded man, asking how he managed to get even stronger in such a short time. The wounded man, known only as Shadow, just says, yeah. He reveals that he has successfully made a contract with one of the Grand Dukes, the Beast King Orgel. The man in the mask, Orgel, nods in approval. As expected, a power fit for a king. Shay 7 Jevon 6083 Shadow approaches him, greeting him casually. Orgel replies, It's been a while, Shadow. Orgel notes that for Shadow to seek him out, there must be trouble brewing outside the abyss. Shadow confirms it. Yeah, a lot has happened while you were away. A glint of interest appears in his eyes. A sinister smile spreads across his face, stained with what looks like purple blood. Well, now I'm looking forward to it. A new player has just entered the game. A few weeks have passed since the dungeon in China was cleared. An incident that could have plunged the world into chaos was quietly stopped, its true scale known only to a precious few. Now, on an isolated island owned by the New Korean Player Association, a rare moment of peace has settled in. A relaxed sigh escapes Ricky Holly's lips. She stretches out on a lounge chair, enjoying the warm sun. Ah, this is nice, she murmurs. It's been a long time since I've had a break like this. Taehyun stands nearby, arms crossed, his expression dead serious. I may have invited you, he reminds her, but we're not here on vacation. Another guest, a muscular man, chimes in, telling Taehyun to lighten up. He points out they've been through hell and deserve to enjoy this. Taehyun looks out at the ocean, his mind drifting back to the aftermath of the China incident. Ricky Hollies. As an investigator for the World Player Association, she testified about the horrific experiments in Zhang Lung's lab. But with Zhang Lung, the mastermind, gone and most of the evidence destroyed, it was hard to prove her claims. On top of that, she couldn't save the people who were being experimented on. He figures she must be feeling empty, even if she'd never show it. He leans back in his own chair, taking a moment to reflect. Still, compared to how things went in his first life, this was an incredible victory. Originally, Ricky was supposed to die in that lab. The initial attempt to contain gray venom failed, and a mysterious plague spread from the dungeon, devastating the entire world. Taehyun thinks to himself that while he only sought Ricky out to break his curse, saving her and preventing a global pandemic was a pretty good outcome. He decides he can relax, at least for today. A sharp voice cuts through his thoughts. See? I knew this would happen. It's Lim A-young. She says that when Taehyun suddenly took off with Ricky, she wondered what he was up to. She strikes a pose in her swimsuit, pointing an accusatory finger at him. This is totally a date, isn't it? Ricky just laughs, asking A-young if she's jealous. Taehyun sighs, trying to explain that it's not like that. He looks at A-young, a little annoyed. I never even invited you, so why are you here? A-young tries to play it cool, claiming it's for surveillance, before quickly changing her story, saying it's because this facility belongs to the Korean Association. Taehyun points out that he paid a generous rental fee. A-young leans in, teasing him. You think paying is enough? How do I know what you're planning? Ricky leans back, smiling. You're quite the popular guy. Changing the subject, she says they should get to his request. Later, the three of them stand before a massive, high-tech building. A-young explains that according to their alchemist, the facility's barrier is strong enough to withstand even an SS-Rank monster. It's far from the city, making it the perfect place for something dangerous. It's so remote and secure, it's barely ever been used. A-young looks at the imposing structure and asks the real question. So, why did you rent this place? Taehyun stares at the door, his expression grim. He explains that while the curse from his test is broken, that's not enough. He thinks of the entity inside him, the white-haired doppelganger. That thing could appear at any time and try to take over his body again. He remembers the feeling of being a powerless puppet. I refuse to take that risk ever again. His eyes narrow with cold determination. Before the real battles begin, he's going to make that entity submit to him, right here, right now. A-young is confused. Taehyun tells her that during this process, he might lose control. She asks if he means a skill going berserk. Taehyun looks at Ricky. Similar, but a little different, he says. I might lose my sanity completely. He then turns to A-young. Since she came all this way, he has a favor to ask her, too. He looks at both of them, his voice deadly serious. If something goes wrong, the two of you need to work together and stop me. A-young is completely lost. She mutters that she really can't figure this guy out. She turns to Ricky, asking if she knows what's going on. Ricky just shrugs with a playful smile. Who knows? But then her expression turns serious. She thinks back to the lab, when she used her canceller skill. She saw a glimpse of Taehyun's true power. Among all the strange things she saw, the most bizarre was a power that felt like the grand void itself. She smirks to herself. By watching this, maybe she can get some answers. Inside the facility, Taehyun stands alone before a massive reinforced door. He takes out his phone. Well then, shall we begin? He thinks to himself that this is the first time he's ever tried something like this. He looks at his reflection in the dark screen, his eyes glowing red. He activates his skill. Complete hypnosis. The world dissolves around him as his consciousness is pulled inward, leaving his physical body standing silently behind. He finds himself falling through a crimson void. He lands gently in a sea of red energy. It seems this was the right idea. He has successfully entered his own mental world. In the distance, he sees the throne of bone, a staircase lined with skulls leading up to it. Shay 7Jack7C74-6, a voice echoes from the throne, dripping with condescending amusement. Oh, so you have started using your brain. It's the Devour entity, his white-haired double. Devour sounds surprised. I didn't expect you to come here yourself. Taehyun walks toward him, his voice calm. Shouldn't I at least see the face of the thing living inside my body? He stands before the throne, looking up at his mirror image. You look just like me. A perfect doppelganger. What are you, really? Devour leans back, looking bored. And do I have any obligation to tell you that? Taehyun expected as much. Fine, he says. I knew you wouldn't be cooperative, but I can't just leave a ticking time bomb inside me alone, and I have no intention of ignoring it. His expression hardens. He points a finger straight at the entity on the throne. Hey, get out of my body. Devour smirks, a dangerous light in its red eyes. And if I refuse? Taehyun replies without a second of hesitation. Then I'll force you out. Devour lets out a quiet, mocking laugh. You will force me out. It rises from its throne, its voice filled with utter disbelief. Impossible. The two of them stand face to face, perfect reflections of one another, yet worlds apart in power and purpose. Taehyun unleashes his own power, calling forth the draconic form of Devour. But his opponent does the exact same thing. Pause for scanlation page. Outside, in the real world, the entire facility begins to shake violently. A young stumbles. What? A sudden tremor? Is it an earthquake? Ricky's eyes are wide with intense focus. No! She looks at Taehyun's still, silent form standing in the center of the room. It's begun. A massive wave of raw energy erupts from Taehyun's body. The pressure is so immense, it forces both Ricky and A-Young back, cracking the reinforced floor beneath their feet. Ricky calls out to A-Young, telling her to get ready. This isn't going to be easy. Back in the mental world, the two Devour entities slam into each other. The entire Crimson Dimension trembles from the sheer force of their battle. Taehyun clashes with his double, trading blows that could shatter reality itself. Their powers are identical, a perfect stalemate of overwhelming strength. Taehyun grits his teeth, realizing the problem. His opponent knows exactly how to control this power. If two Devour abilities of the same level collide, they'll just cancel each other out. It's an endless deadlock. Then, Devour grins, reading his mind perfectly. I see what you're thinking. The king's power isn't enough, so you want to use your other skills to win? The two of them clash again in a massive explosion of raw power. But Devour's smile widens. But even that is not yours alone. Taehyun freezes. What do you mean? The Devour entity's grin is pure, absolute evil. Suddenly, a new, even more immense power emanates from it. The monarch's aura. A colossal, regal sword materializes in its hand, radiating an authority that dwarfs everything else. The entity has skills that Taehyun never even knew he had. The battle for Kim Tae-yeon's soul, and he's already bleeding. A blast of crimson energy slams into him, sending him flying. But it's not the impact that shocks him. It's the power itself, a terrifying mirror of his own. His duplicate simply stares back, a look of pure condescension on his face, as if the answer should be obvious. Without a moment's hesitation, the entity lunges, his own arm crackling with that same dark power. He reminds Taehyun that every skill, every weapon he's ever used, all comes from a single source: the power of the king. A twisted grin spreads across his face. He sneers, asking if Taehyun was really foolish enough to think that he, the very source of that power, couldn't use it himself. Taehyun lets out a bitter laugh. It sounds confident, but his eyes betray a deep, burning frustration. He has to face a horrifying truth. He hates to admit it, but this thing, it's strong. He thinks back to all the impossible fights he's won, the enemies he should have never been able to defeat. He always had a strategy. Always found a way. But against a perfect copy of himself with access to all his abilities, every plan feels useless. For the first time, he doesn't know what to do. The entity's voice cuts through the silence, cold and mocking. He can practically hear Taehyun's mind racing, calling it a pathetic, meaningless resistance. Give up. As the words echo, dozens of glowing red chains erupt from the ground, shooting straight for Taehyun. They close in from all sides, a cage of pure energy, meant to end this fight for good. An inescapable storm of chains hurtles towards him, ready to crush his will. But just as they're about to strike, the entity pauses. His glowing red eye narrows. Something isn't right. Taehyun isn't panicking. He's not even trying to run. He stands his ground, knowing full well this was never going to be an easy fight. And until he gives it everything he has, with a glare that burns through the chaos, he makes one thing clear. He has no intention of giving up. His other self just watches, a confident, twisted smile on his lips, as if enjoying this small, futile act of defiance. Meanwhile, back in the real world, chaos erupts. A tidal wave of uncontrolled power explodes from Taehyun's unconscious body. A-Young can only stare, wondering if this is the rampage they feared. Ricky knows it's far worse. The mana pouring out of him is immense, possibly even greater than her own, and she's one of the most powerful magicians in the world. They can't wait another second. This is why they're here. With grim resolve, Ricky tells A-Young it's time to act before things get out of hand. She grabs Ayoung, ready to move as her own power begins to flare. But before she can, Taehyun's body seizes. A spear materializes in his hand, cloaked in that same dark energy. Ricky freezes, a horrifying possibility hitting her. Has he already awakened? With a savage cry, Taehyun's body lunges at them, driven by pure, violent instinct. Ayoung desperately asks for a plan. Ricky is already casting, telling Ayoung to buy her some time. Her order is simple. Hold him down while I use my skill. Ayoung doesn't hesitate. With a fierce, determined look, she accepts the mission. Leave it to me. A brilliant green aura explodes around her. She admits to herself she's always wanted to fight him at his full strength. With a powerful roar, she charges in. The two forces collide in a blinding flash of red and green, the impact shaking the entire facility. Ayoung meets his wild strike head-on, their powers clashing with ferocious intensity. It reminds her of their battle with the Grand Phoenix, when Taehyun single-handedly turned the tide and saved them all. She grips her weapon, a fire igniting in her eyes. This time, it's her turn. This time, I'll beat you back to your senses, she roars, pouring every ounce of her strength into the attack. She unleashes a massive wave of green energy in a powerful, sweeping arc. But even berserk, Taehyun moves with inhuman speed, flipping clean over her attack. He brings his heel down in a devastating axe kick, but Ayoung slams her weapon up just in time to block it, gritting her teeth against the incredible force. The shockwave rips through the room, but Ayoung holds her ground, pushing back with everything she has. But his raw, untamed power is just too much. The force sends her staggering back, her body screaming from the strain. Watching from the side, Ricky knows this isn't working. Ayoung can't hold him. She has no choice. It's time to use her trump card. She raises her hands, and a swirling vortex of bright blue energy begins to form between them. The orb of light grows brighter, more intense, pulling in all the ambient mana in the room. Ricky unleashes the spell, her hair whipping back from the sheer force of the magic she commands. Ayoung grits her teeth in frustration. She'd been so confident, but just blocking his attacks has left her arm completely numb. She can't believe it. Even rampaging and unconscious, he's a monster. Just dodging his blows is all she can manage. Seeing Taehyun wind up for another attack, Ricky screams at the top of her lungs, "Ayoung, run!" But Ayoung doesn't have to. Suddenly, massive vine-like tendrils erupt from the floor all around Taehyun, shooting up to trap him. Ayoung looks back, completely stunned by this sudden turn of events. "Ricky, what is this?" she yells, staring at the massive, glowing roots that now fill the room. Ricky stands at the center of the chaos, her hands outstretched. This is her power, a portal, torn open directly to the abyss, summoning a creature of pure mana. She explains that the beast is drawn to immense power and moves on instinct. Once it latches on, it won't let go until it's drained every last drop of mana. As the tendrils wrap around Taehyun, she says that once his mana is gone, the rampage will stop. Ayoung is speechless. To open a gate to the abyss with human power and then command the creatures within. This is the overwhelming might of the US #2 ranked player, Ricky Hollies. The mana beast tightens its grip, its tendrils glowing brightly as it begins to absorb Taehyun's chaotic energy. Taehyun's body goes limp, slumping forward as the beast completely restrains him. Ricky lets out a sigh of relief. It looks like it's finally over. Ayoung rushes to Taehyun's side, calling out his name. Ricky calls out to him, asking if he can hear her. But she knows just how close they came to disaster. Even as the beast drained him, his mana kept growing. Any later, and it would have been too late. Back in his mind, the real Taehyun strains against the chains, knowing he has to find a way to overcome this darkness. But in the real world, something goes terribly wrong. A bright red beam of energy erupts from Taehyun's hand, blasting Ayoung in the back and sending her flying. Ricky's face twists in pure, unadulterated horror. "Ayoung!" she screams, watching her friend fall while Taehyun just stands there unmoved, still wrapped in the beast's tendrils. Ricky can't believe it. "No way!" she yells in a panic. "How can he still move?" A new voice echoes through the room, dripping with arrogance. A mana beast. Not a bad idea for a mere human. Taehyun straightens up, and the tendrils around him crumble to dust. A being, he explains, can't absorb more mana than it can hold. Ricky's eyes widen in absolute horror. Something is wrong. His hair, it's streaked with white. And a terrifying realization dawns on her. No, you're not him. He looks up, a predatory grin stretching across his face. He's no longer unconscious. He's fully aware. Holding the crystallized remains of the beast, he asks, "Do I look like someone so weak?" Ricky's hands tremble as she readies a spell, demanding to know what happened to the real Kim Taehyun. The entity smirks, letting the crystal dust slip through his fingers. "He lost," he says simply. "I am in control of this body now." The pressure rolling off him is suffocating. Ricky recognizes this terrifying aura. It feels just like an SS-Rank monster. But he just plays dumb, claiming he has no idea what she's talking about. Ricky isn't falling for it. She knows what she has to do. "Then I'll make the first move. It doesn't matter who or what he is. Right now, he is the enemy." She unleashes a torrent of pure energy, a massive attack that screams through the air. The blast is powerful enough to shatter steel, a concentrated beam of raw destruction aimed to annihilate its target. But he just stands there. He calmly raises one hand and catches the entire attack, effortlessly dissipating the energy. Ricky is completely floored. He blocked her magic with his bare hands. His eyes glow with a sadistic light, that chilling grin never leaving his face. "Since I'm here anyway, I might as well have a little warm-up." In a flash, he lunges forward, closing the distance in an instant. Before Ricky can even comprehend his speed, his hand is around her throat, lifting her clean off the ground. But back in that crimson world of the mind, the battle isn't over. The real Taehyun lies on the bloody ground, pinned by those cursed chains. He was defeated, pinned down and left for dead within his own consciousness. But his hand twitches. His fingers dig into the ground, trembling with effort. He isn't done fighting yet. Deep within Taehyun's mind, a battle has been lost. But in this crimson hell, the war for his soul is far from over. The chains of defeat dig into him, the gap in their power. It was more than he could have ever imagined. Just what is this thing? A memory flashes in his mind, the overwhelming, serene presence of the king. And he understands. This entity, it isn't the king. This violent, arrogant monster is something the king planted inside of him. He doesn't know why, but that doesn't matter now. With a grunt of pure effort, he forces himself up. He has to stop him. But trapped and powerless in this mental prison, a single desperate question remains. How? Pause for title card. His eyes snap open, filled with a terrifying, desperate resolve. There is only one way. Back in the real world, Devour holds Ricky by the throat, her ragged breaths echoing in the silence. "Is this really all you have?" he sneers, his voice dripping with disappointment. "This isn't even a decent warm-up." Ricky glares back, choking out her words. She can't believe it. She's one of the strongest players in the world, and this thing is treating her like an insect. Devour scoffs. "Your human standards are a joke." He looks down at her, utterly unimpressed. "Do you have anything else to show me?" He tightens his grip, a cruel smile on his face. "If you're truly at a national level, then prove it." Ricky gasps, her vision beginning to fade. From across the room, a desperate voice cries out his name. "Kim Taehyun!" It's a young, bloodied, beaten, but somehow back on her feet. She grabs his arm, her grip weak but filled with unwavering conviction. "Let go of her," she pleads. "This isn't you." Her eyes burn with fierce desperation as she screams, "Snap out of it!" For a split second, something flickers in his eyes, a flash of recognition, but it's gone as quickly as it came. He doesn't even bother to turn. With a casual backhand, he swats her away like a fly. A young coughs, clutching her chest where he struck her. She slumps to the ground, defeated, as Devour turns his cold gaze back to Ricky. He glares at the smear of blood Ah Young left on his arm. "A pathetic bug," he says, his voice dangerously low. "Who gave you permission to touch me?" He blasts her with a wave of energy, sending her crashing into the far wall. He tells her to wait her turn quietly. He'll deal with her soon enough. He looks from Ah Young's unconscious form back to Ricky, his expression hardening. He can't risk the real Taehyun coming back. It's time to end this. But Ricky, slumped on the floor, calls out, "Hey, didn't you ask if I had more to show?" A brilliant blue aura begins to flare around her. Devour looks around, a hint of surprise on his face. The mana from her beast still hangs heavy in the air, and now she's gathering all of it. Ricky knows what she must do. If this monster gets out, It will be a catastrophe. With grim determination, she decides she cannot let that happen. She offers a silent apology to Taehyun. She's betting everything on this one attack. "Watch closely," she declares, her power surging to its absolute limit. "This is my full power." A tidal wave of concentrated mana erupts from her, a storm of pure destruction. Devour just stands there, watching it come. A faint, mocking smile plays on his lips. Instead of destroying him, the energy is drawn in, swirling around him like a vortex as he absorbs every last drop. Ricky can only stare in utter disbelief. She threw everything she had at him, and it did nothing. He just looks at her, a single red eye glowing through the dissipating energy. "What? Hey, how?" she stammers, all hope draining from her voice. He grins, a truly demonic look on his face. "I saw it all. Are you done showing off now?" Ricky slumps to her knees, completely defeated. This isn't a fight. It's an execution. There's no way to stop him. Dark, tendril-like energy creeps from his body, slithering towards her. "This is your reward for the entertainment," he says, his eyes locking onto hers. "You, especially, I will devour." The tendrils lash out, ready to consume her very being. He reaches out, his hand glowing with a terrifying red light, ready to deliver the final blow. But then, he freezes. His eyes widen in shock and confusion. His entire body glitches, the world distorting around him as if reality itself is breaking. Ricky looks up from the floor, bewildered by the sudden stop. What's happening? Inside his own head, Devour grits his teeth, his voice a furious snarl. "Kim Taehyun, you crazy bastard!" Back in the crimson mindscape, a horrifying scene is unfolding. A vortex of red energy consumes a lone figure. It's Taehyun, using his own devouring power on himself. The entity appears before him, radiating pure fury, but Taehyun just offers a weak, bloody smile. "So, you came." The entity is enraged. "What the hell do you think you're doing? Using Devour on yourself," he screams, as the vortex threatens to swallow them both. Taehyun's smile turns into a confident smirk. "Looks like I was right. Your goal is for me to reach something. You never wanted to kill me and take this body." He presses his advantage, his voice cold and steady. "If I die here and now, that would be a problem for you too, wouldn't it?" The entity just sneers, calling it a pathetic threat. Taehyun calls his bluff. "Then why did you come rushing back?" The entity falls silent, then tells him to stop bluffing, that he won't get a second chance at life. But Taehyun's resolve is absolute. "I know," he says. "I already died once. This life is just a bonus. And if I'm going to fail again?" His eyes burn with an unshakable fire. "I would rather die." The weight of his words hangs in the air. This isn't a bluff. He would rather be erased from existence than fail a second time. The entity looks at him, finally seeing the depth of his conviction. "It seems I underestimated you." A massive burst of energy explodes from him as he makes his decision. He raises his hand, and the vortex around Taehyun disappears. "Fine," he concedes. "This time, you win." But his voice turns cold, his warning chilling. "Remember this. You're only alive because you still have a purpose, struggle, suffer, or reach the king. Because the moment I decide you are no longer capable, I will devour you without a second thought." A monstrous, skeletal jaw flashes behind him, a promise of the fate that awaits if he fails. But Taehyun is unfazed. With a confident smirk, he replies, "Even if that day comes, I won't go down easy." In the real world, light returns to Taehyun's eyes. A status window, visible only to him, confirms it. His sealed skills are not just restored, they're fully integrated and more powerful than ever. Ricky, still weak on the floor, looks up. "Kim Taehyun," she asks, her voice hesitant. "Are you back?" Taehyun's eyes widen as he sees her collapsed and injured. "Ricky," he shouts, the horrifying memory of what happened flooding his mind. He rushes to her side, helping her up as the weight of his actions crashes down on him. "Was it me?" he asks, his voice thick with guilt. Ricky manages a weak, bitter laugh. "That's right." He looks over and sees Ayoung, still unconscious. He quickly assesses her condition, a small wave of relief washing over him. "Don't worry," he tells Ricky. "Her injuries aren't life-threatening." Ricky just looks at him, at the genuine concern in his eyes. "You are a terrifying man," she says quietly. "You hid that part of yourself very well." Taehyun can only look away, shame-faced. But still, Ricky adds, her voice softer now. Thank you. She knows that in the end, he won. He took back control. Let's just call it a debt, she says, leaning on him for support. And keep this between us. He looks at her, and for the first time, a real understanding passes between them. Instead, he says, next time I'm in danger, you have to help me. I feel like I can trust you to have my back. Ricky looks up at him, a new kind of trust in her eyes. Yes, she says, a silent promise made. I promise. A few days later, a fragile peace has settled. In a quiet hospital room, sunlight streams through the window. Fortunately, neither Ricky nor Ah-young suffered any permanent damage, but Ah-young is definitely milking her hospital stay for all it's worth. Aang, she whines playfully. Continued playful whining. Taehyun sits by her bed, dutifully peeling an apple. He figures since this was his fault, the least he can do is take care of her. Hurry up and feed me, she teases. She takes a bite and hums happily. Delicious. She thinks to herself that having Taehyun personally cut fruit for her almost makes getting beaten up worth it. Taehyun gives her a look, though he can't quite hide a small smile. An experience like this is enough for one lifetime, he says. You keep making me feel guilty. Ah-young looks around the empty room. She's surprised Ricky left so soon, but Taehyun figures she probably has a lot on her plate. Oh, that's right, Ah-young says, suddenly remembering. It's coming up soon, isn't it? The SSS-Rank license ceremony. She asks if Ricky qualifies, and Taehyun confirms it, adding that the World Player Association seems to be planning something big this time. Ah-young gets a determined look, pointing her fork at him like a sword. It's an international stage, she says sternly. Taehyun, you better not cause any trouble there, okay? Taehyun pauses, holding a piece of fruit mid-air. Well, about that, he brings the fruit to his mouth with a sly, trouble-making grin. That's not really up to me. The world believes it's entered a new era of peace. But behind the curtain, the real war for power has only just begun. At the headquarters of the World Player Association, representatives from across the globe have gathered for an event that will change everything. A man stands at the podium, his voice echoing through the grand hall. He reminds them of a time not so long ago when humanity was on the brink of annihilation. Pause for title card, he continues, saying that through global cooperation and the sacrifice of the world's players, they have pushed back the darkness, conquering dungeons one by one. He proudly declares that they have finally achieved an era of peace and prosperity unlike any before. This is Vincent Chang, president of the World Player Association. He explains that, with their success, a new breed of player has emerged, stronger and more seasoned than ever. The old ranking system can no longer measure their power. It's time for a new classification, SS-Rank. A new era, he proclaims, is dawning. With a dramatic flourish, he announces that today they will introduce the 10 heroes who will be the first to receive the SS-Rank player license. The hall erupts in applause as he asks them to welcome these new heroes. The names echo through the room, a list of legends, Cody Wood, Montel Roman, Ricky Harris, and many more of the world's strongest. And finally, the president says, letting the anticipation build for the last name, Taehyun adjusts his suit, a look of calm resolve on his face as his name is called. Kim Taehyun from New Korea. The Korean Association chairman claps harder than anyone, his face beaming with pride. The president explains this new license will allow these heroes to cross borders freely, all in the name of peace. As Taehyun steps onto the stage, the bright lights wash over him. In this single moment, one thought consumes him. Finally, I've made it this far, he thinks back on his journey. From the cursed day he woke up in a doomed world to fighting his way to S-Rank, and now, surpassing the level of a national powerhouse. He's reached the highest peak a player could achieve in his past life, all the way to SS-Rank. As he's handed his license, he knows the man he used to be could have never even dreamed of this, but he has no intention of stopping here. This is just a single step. What he's truly searching for lies far beyond this stage. The Grand Dukes, the doppelganger, and the mysterious king who sent him here. He knows he has to keep moving forward. His expression hardens with unshakable resolve. This is only the beginning. Later, at the after-party, the Korean chairman claps Taehyun on the shoulder with a hearty laugh. Congratulations, he booms. I never thought I'd live to see this day for New Korea. Taehyun rubs his shoulder, smiling slightly. That hurts, chairman. His His boss just laughs, saying an SS rank shouldn't complain about an old man's punch. Another Korean official explains that the chairman has been waiting a long time for a player like Taehyun to emerge. He continues, saying that, with a player this strong, the nation's influence will grow, and Taehyun can achieve even greater things. The chairman puts a hand on his shoulder, his voice full of gratitude, telling him how much his presence means to them all. Taehyun just humbly replies that he was only doing what was necessary. A smooth, playful voice cuts through their conversation. "New Korea seems so lively. It's wonderful to see. It's Ricky," offering him a warm smile. "Hi, Taehyun. It's good to see you." Taehyun asks if she's feeling better. She playfully complains that she still aches all over and that he could have gone a little easier on her. She teases him about being so rough, and he immediately gets flustered, accusing her of trying to cause a misunderstanding. The two Korean officials watch the exchange with interest, the chairman noting that a young had better keep a close eye on them. Ricky smiles, changing the subject. "That's not why I'm here. There's someone who wants to meet you." "Me?" Taehyun asks, surprised. He follows her gaze as heavy footsteps approach. Ricky says he can probably guess who it is. Taehyun turns, his eyes widening slightly as he recognizes the man. The man stops before them, his presence radiating an immense, controlled power. He says he wanted to meet Taehyun to express his thanks. "Nice to meet you, player Kim Taehyun. It's the world's #1 player, Cody Wood." Taehyun looks at him, a single thought hitting him with force. Right. Becoming an SS rank means I'm now standing on the same stage as this man. If there was one person who represented all players in his past life, one man who stood above everyone else, it was him. The man who always stood at the very front line against the abyss. The strongest player, Cody Wood. Just standing before him, Taehyun can feel an overwhelming pressure. He quickly collects himself, extending a hand. "No, I'm the one who should be thanking you." They shake hands. "It's an honor to finally meet you, Cody Wood," Taehyun says with genuine respect. Cody gives a firm shake in return. "We'll be seeing a lot of each other from now on," he says. "Let's work well together." Taehyun looks at their clasped hands, a flicker of doubt in his eyes. In the future, he wasn't so sure about that. Suddenly, a loud voice cuts through the party. "Everyone!" It's the World Player Association president again, demanding their attention. "This is sudden," he announces, "but we have breaking news to share." The Korean officials look on, confused. The president reveals they've accepted a proposal from the president of the U.S. Association. "We have decided to clear all remaining unexplored dungeons on Earth by forming a large-scale international raid team." He explains that it will be a raid on an unprecedented scale, and that the US SS rank players have already committed. A murmur of shock goes through the crowd. If the US players are in, that means half of the new SS ranks are already on board. The president calls for other nations to join, proclaiming it's time for the world to unite. But the Korean chairman sees right through it. He knows exactly what this is. A political power play. With half the SS ranks on their side, the US can effectively control the world's dungeon-clearing efforts, proving to everyone who's really in charge. He understands the game, but knows that, besides Taehyun, New Korea's influence is still too weak to resist. As if on cue, the British Player Association announces their participation. France quickly follows suit. Then, Russia declares they're in. The president smiles, satisfied. Very well. And also, he turns his gaze directly to the Korean delegation. He gestures towards Taehyun, who stands beside the two most powerful players in the world. The Korean chairman tenses as the president asks the question on everyone's mind. Does New Korea wish to participate? Taehyun takes a small step forward. A hush falls over the entire hall. He says a single simple word, no. With a confident, almost challenging smile, he adds, "We'll be doing our own thing." A wave of collective shock ripples through the room. Everyone is stunned into absolute silence. The Korean chairman and his aide can only stammer, completely blindsided by Taehyun's audacious move. Cody Wood just watches him, his expression unreadable, but with a clear flicker of interest in his sharp eyes. Later, on a private jet soaring through the clouds, Ricky sighs, looking out the window. "That's a shame," she says. "We failed to recruit the others, and now the world is divided again." Cody asks if she regrets it. Ricky admits Taehyun would have been a powerful ally, but she knows that's not what he's really asking. Cody leans back. I just find it interesting, he replies, turning the question back on her. What did you think of him, Ricky? He looked strong, Cody says simply. I can see now why you were in such bad shape. Ricky thinks to herself that if even the world's strongest player sees it, then she wasn't mistaken. She decides to reveal her deepest suspicion. Kim Tae-hyun is a contractor for an Abyss Grand Duke. Titles like World's Strongest are meaningless in front of a being like that. Cody's eyes narrow almost imperceptibly. Is that so? He asks, his tone impossible to read. Ricky looks out at the storm clouds gathering outside the jet. Then, should I rephrase the question? Lightning flashes, briefly illuminating the cabin. Cody's gaze becomes intense, his golden eyes almost seeming to glow. Even when compared to another Grand Duke's contractor, did he look strong? The question hangs heavy in the air, loaded with unspoken meaning. Ricky falls silent, the implication hitting her like a physical blow. Cody knows of another contractor. Cody turns away, staring out the window. One day, he says with a chilling certainty, I'm sure you'll get the chance to find out. Far away, in the headquarters of the Chinese Player Association, a fist slams down on a desk. Damn it. SSS-Rank? A large-scale raid team? The new president of the Chinese Association, Liu Ziyin, is seething. It's like the Chinese Player Association doesn't even exist anymore. His face twists in pure fury. This is all because of that bastard Kim Tae-hyun. He rises from his desk, his mind made up. There's no other choice. From a hidden compartment, he pulls out a USB drive. It's the salvaged data from Zhang Lung's forbidden research lab. I'll have to use this. He sits back down, thinking of his foolish predecessor. President Zhang Lung, I suppose I should be grateful you at least left this behind. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream echoes from just outside his office. Liu Ziyin jumps, dropping the drive. Another scream pierces the air. What is all that commotion? He shouts, his voice filled with annoyance. A thick, dark liquid begins to seep under his office door. He stares at it in horror. It's blood. The lock on the door clicks open by itself. The door swings wide, and the bloody corpse of a guard is thrown into the room. A calm, polite voice breaks the silence. Are you the new president? My apologies for dropping in so late. Image Shaiteen number 99 narrator. A man steps over the body. I just returned from the abyss, so the jet lag has been terrible. Liu Ziyin is frozen in terror, stammering. Who are you? The intruder says a single name. Min Ji-hung. He stands there, a faint, sinister smile on his face, his hands stained red. I'm the guild master of the malicious guild. His golden eyes glow in the darkness, radiating a terrifying power. A new, unknown threat has just made his entrance. The guild master of the malicious guild, Min Ji-hung. Rank unknown. Shin Korea Guild, Nightwalker. A new team about to be forged in the fires of hell. Back in Korea, Lim Ah-young watches the new guild headquarters being built. She knew Tae-hyun was planning something big. She confronts him later, unable to hold back her frustration. To declare that Korea would go it alone on the world stage? To challenge the other nations so publicly? She demands to know what on earth he was thinking. She remembers the look on the chairman's face after Tae-hyun's announcement, a man on the verge of a nervous breakdown. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She points out that even President Ji Jin-hee looked terrified. No matter how strong Tae-hyun is, what about everyone else? But then, with a knowing look, she figures it out. That's the real reason, isn't it? Tae-hyun looks out the window, his expression serious. He tells her that New Korea can't rely on his strength alone forever. If the other players don't grow stronger, it will become a liability. And unexplored dungeons, he adds, are the perfect place to gain experience. Young agrees, but questions the need to rush things so dramatically. Tae-hyun's reply is grim. We don't have that much time left. He finally reveals his true plan. From now on, he says, his gaze distant, I'm going to focus my activities inside the abyss. Ah-young is stunned into silence. The abyss, that's a completely different level of danger. She remembers the explanation. Players are generally divided into two types. There are those who venture into the hostile, unknown depths of the abyss, expanding humanity's foothold. And there are those who defend Earth from the monsters and demons that cross over from it. So far, Tae-hyun has been active on Earth. That's how he earned his SS rank. And now, right after getting it, he's planning to leave? The risk is beyond astronomical. Tae-hyun explains his ultimate goal is to find clues about the king, and those clues aren't on Earth. there in the abyss. If he stays here forever, he'll never reach his objective. But while he's gone, he needs to know Earth is safe. That's why helping others grow isn't just an option. It's absolutely necessary. A young sighs, leaning her head on her hand. Taehyun, you are impossible to figure out. It's like you're living in a completely different world, she muses. Her words hit a little too close to home, sending a shiver down his spine. She looks at him intently, her eyes searching his. You have way too many secrets. That time you went on a rampage, that wasn't a normal skill. She leans forward, her hands flat on the desk between them. She looks him dead in the eye and asks the question that's been burning in her mind. Who are you really, Kim Taehyun? The air grows thick with tension. He holds her gaze, the weight of his 2 lives hanging between them. A long moment passes in silence. He takes a slow sip of his drink and replies nonchalantly, I don't want to tell you. Young is speechless. What? She grabs his shirt, furious. Don't joke with me. I'm being serious. But he remains calm, telling her that even if he explained everything, she wouldn't be able to accept it. He gently places his hand over hers. Someday, he promises, the right time to explain everything will come. When that day comes, Young looks away, her anger fading into uncertainty. Taehyun's expression is sincere. He's not being cruel, he's protecting her. Young lets out a frustrated huff and backs down. Fine. I just hope we don't need some kind of magical pact to seal it, Taehyun assures her. I never go back on my word. She sighs. All right. Then she gets down to business, asking why he really came to see her. He explains that he's forming a new raid team and wants her on it. Taehyun glances at the mountain of paperwork on her desk. Looks like you have your hands full. She sighs, reminding him that being bedridden put her way behind on work. So, he says, getting to the point, I'd like you to recommend someone to take your place. Young smirks. She already knows who he's talking about. Well, isn't there only one person who could? As much as it annoys her, her sister is the best choice. She leans back with a sly look. You're pretty meticulous. Were you hoping to get my permission? Taehyun grins right back. Even if you said no, I was going to take her anyway. Meanwhile, at the headquarters of another guild, a booming laugh echoes through the training hall. It's Kwon Kang-yuk, Korea's top tank. As expected of Kim Taehyun, of course you'd come for me. With his lost arm restored by the saint, he's back and stronger than ever. Park Sung-jin, another top S rank, pushes his sunglasses up. Looks like I've gotten myself into something big. We also see Seo Hangul and Kwak Sieng, the pair who once betrayed their guild. Hangul feels he doesn't deserve to be here, but his partner reminds him to be grateful for the second chance Taehyun gave them. Young's younger sister, Yoo Young, looks over the assembled players. The best of the best in Korea, all in one place. But she can't help feeling a little insecure. Can I really be a good substitute for my sister? Her face is a storm of determination and anxiety. The pressure is immense. Taehyun arrives, stepping before the group he's assembled. Thanks for answering my sudden call. I'm sure you've all heard a bit about what's going on. He gets straight to the point. Everyone here will be joining the new raid team I'm putting together. The team looks on, their faces a mix of excitement, skepticism, and resolve. Park Sung-jin is the first to voice his doubt. It's an honor, but is this really possible? He points out that the remaining unexplored dungeons are all SS level, but everyone here is only S rank. Taehyun just smiles. For now, yes, but I've seen what all of you can do. Every single one of you has the potential to become an SS rank, and you'll realize that potential during this raid. His eyes land on Yoo Young. That includes you. She's startled by his directness. She blushes slightly, flustered but determined. If you say so, Taehyun knows this isn't just a pep talk. In his past life, every single person standing here became an SS rank. It just happened much later, but he's changed the timeline. Now, he has no choice but to accelerate their growth himself. Kwon Kang-yuk roars with excitement. All right, let's do it, Taehyun, my brother. The others are taken aback by his sudden familiarity. Taehyun just smiles and cuts him off. But if we go into a dungeon right now, we would definitely die. A wave of pure, terrifying killer intent washes over them, making everyone freeze in their tracks. We deploy in 1 month. Until then, you'll be training with me. A crimson aura explodes around him. First up, He points at them, a sadistic grin spreading across his face as shadowy figures loom behind him. Let's push you all to the brink of death. One thought runs through all their minds at once. He's terrifying. 1 month later, the international raid team enters an unexplored dungeon in a French opera house, swarmed by ghostly monsters. A single player moves like a phantom through the chaos. It's Cody Wood, moving with blinding, untouchable speed. Another SS rank, a massive knight, glows with holy power. He unleashes a devastating attack, beams of light incinerating dozens of ghosts at once. Another player transforms into a monstrous beast, tearing through the spectral hordes. An observer watches in awe. No matter how many times he sees it, Cody's power is just on another level. With such overwhelming strength, clearing the dungeon seems almost trivial. One of the players, Daniel Harrington, turns to an aide. "Did you hear the news? Apparently Kim Tae-hyun and his team are entering a dungeon today, too." His companion, Montel Roman, laughs loudly. "That idiot Kim Tae-hyun. He scoffs that these dungeons aren't playgrounds. What does he think he can do with a bunch of S-ranks? Trying to save face is just going to get them all killed." Cody Wood overhears them, a thoughtful, almost wistful expression on his face. "I wish I could have seen it for myself," he says with a hint of a smile. At that exact moment, in a dungeon in Greece known as the Snake Pit, Taehyun's team is in deep trouble. Kwon Kang-yuk barely dodges the fangs of a massive serpent. Yoo Ah-young is nearly crushed by its tail. Seo Hangil evades a lightning-fast strike by a hair's breadth. The whole team is scattered and overwhelmed. If this keeps up, they're all going to die. Kang-yuk screams, "Hey, can't you losers move any faster? You want to get punished again?" Image, Shate, 108D. Narrator, Kwak Seong, yells back for him to stop charging ahead alone, while someone else is already sobbing that they want to go home. Young gasps for air, the pressure almost too much to bear. From a safe distance, Taehyun watches with a satisfied smirk. They're not just surviving, they're steamrolling through. Looks like that hellish month of training paid off, he thinks. The team finally reaches the dungeon's final chamber. Park Seung-jin looks around in confusion. What is this place? And what are all these strange-looking rocks? Yoo Ah-young stares in horror. They're not rocks. They're the players who went missing in this dungeon. All around them are the petrified statues of those who failed before them, their faces frozen in eternal terror. A sibilant, ancient voice echoes through the chamber. "Welcome, foolish humans." The team looks up in dread. A monstrous figure looms over them, her hair a writhing mass of snakes. Another day, another addition to my fine collection. Medusa, the SS-Rank dungeon master of the Snake Pit. Taehyun steps forward, completely unfazed as she hisses, "Let's see who will be my next collectible." He just grins, a predatory glint in his eyes. How about a wallet made from snakeskin instead? Pause for scanlation page. The team stands frozen, dwarfed by the towering form of Medusa, whose cold, reptilian eyes promise a painful death. Yoo Ah-young can only stammer, her face a mask of terror and awe. This is the ruler of the Snake Pit. This is Medusa. Pause for title card. Fear has them paralyzed. An SS-rank monster. How could they possibly defeat something like this? One look into that cold gaze and their bodies feel locked in place. Taehyun's voice cuts through their terror like a whip. "What are you all standing around for? All of you," he roars. "Think about what you've been training for this past month. If you set your own limits now and give up, you will gain nothing." His words hit them like a physical blow, the shock snapping them out of their fear. Park Seung-jin is the first to recover. He's right. He grits his teeth. "We trained all this time to surpass our limits." Yoo Ah-young's face hardens with resolve. Even if the enemy is stronger, they have to fight. Kwon Kang-yuk's fear twists into a feral grin. "Damn it, we've got no other choice. Everyone, stick to the plan," he yells, and the entire team explodes into motion, their auras flaring to life as they charge. They unleash a coordinated barrage of attacks, a storm of magic and steel raining down on Medusa from all sides. But she is an SS rank for a reason. Their first assault barely scratches her scales. With a furious hiss, she swings her massive tail, swatting one of the players away with contemptuous ease. The rest of the team moves in to support, their movements a blur of practiced teamwork. One of them stomps down hard on her tail, trying to pin the massive appendage. Kwon Kang-yuk, glowing with a dark purple energy, steps in to tank a direct hit. Humph, what a pathetic attack. He activates his skill, a blessing that takes the form of an ancient dragon's defense. Park Sungjin zips past on her other side, his blade a silver streak aimed at her flank. But suddenly, Medusa is encased in a barrier of brilliant blue crystal. What the? The crystal armor forms in an instant, a solid wall of defense against their assault. But the team doesn't falter. Park Sungjin unleashes a powerful slash, just as Yu Young counters with a blast of shattering ice. Their combined attacks shatter the crystal barrier, and Medusa lets out a piercing shriek of pain. "You wretched insects," she screams, enraged that these mortals have actually managed to draw blood. Taehyun watches calmly from the back. Even against an SS-Rank monster, their attacks are landing. The strategy is flawless. Magicians disrupt her vision, the tank protects from the rear, and the close combat fighters exploit every opening. They aren't landing single, devastating blows, but they're steadily chipping away at her, wearing the monster down. But Taehyun knows it's not over. A cornered beast is the most dangerous. Medusa's eyes glow with a furious red light. "Playtime is over," she hisses, unleashing a shockwave of dark energy that sends them all reeling. Her movements become larger, more powerful. "I will kill you all," she vows, her body coiling like a spring. The mages in the back suddenly realize something's wrong. Wait, where did Kang-hyuk go? He suddenly appears behind Medusa, his foot planted firmly on her tail. "I was waiting for this," he growls. "I was getting bored to death," he roars, activating a new skill, and a massive surge of power erupts from him. With a furious battle cry, he yanks on her tail with all his might, pulling the colossal monster off balance. This was the opening they were waiting for. "No!" Taehyun screams the command, and the team unleashes everything they have, a final, overwhelming barrage of their ultimate skills. The 4 attacks converge on Medusa's exposed body in a blinding explosion of power. The dust and smoke slowly begin to settle. A heavy silence falls over the cavern. The smoke clears, revealing Medusa's massive body slumping to the ground, defeated. The team can hardly believe it. Did we really win? Kang-hyuk is ecstatic. "My new technique worked perfectly." Yu Young claps him on the shoulder, a proud smile on her face. "Well done, everyone." Taehyun walks up to them, looking pleased. "I knew you could all pull it off." Kang-hyuk immediately starts complaining. "Hey, little brother, aren't you being a bit cold? You just stood there and didn't lift a finger. So we cleared this whole dungeon by ourselves? Does this mean we're stronger than we thought?" He laughs. But Taehyun's smile vanishes. It would be nice if that were the case." The team looks at him, confused by his sudden change in tone. Suddenly, Medusa's headless body begins to dissolve into particles of dark energy. But the particles don't disappear. Instead, they swirl together, forming a massive dark gate right where she fell. The team stares in shock. "What is that? Why is there a gate?" Taehyun's face is grim. "Don't tell me this dungeon was actually a double dungeon." From within the swirling portal, a deep, ancient voice rumbles. "So, the gatekeeper has fallen. How strange. A colossal dragon-like creature steps through the gate, its body wreathed in dark, crimson energy. I see no one here strong enough to have accomplished such a feat. This is the true master of the dungeon, a basilisk of SS-Plo's rank." The team is frozen in absolute terror. Medusa was one thing. But this is a monster on an entirely different level. This is impossible. The basilisk's gaze sweeps over them, and one by one, their bodies lock in place, paralyzed by its power. "My body, it won't move," one of them thinks in a panic. In seconds, the entire Nightwalker team is helpless, unable to twitch a single muscle, completely at the mercy of the new monster. The basilisk's glowing red eyes focus on Taehyun, the only one still standing. "I see. So it was you who killed my subordinate?" Taehyun gives a lazy, taunting reply. "Nope." He gestures with a thumb back at his frozen comrades, a smirk on his face. "That was actually all them. The basilisk is not amused. Those insignificant whelps, I refuse to believe it." Taehyun just shrugs, poking the beast's pride. "Maybe your underling just got lazy and skipped her training. She wasn't all that special." He looks the basilisk up and down, a predatory glint in his own eyes. "And you, her master, are you any different?" The basilisk roars in fury. "You insolent human. It lunges, its massive jaws ready to snap him in half. The air crackles with immense pressure as the monster attacks. But as it lunges, its eyes widen in shock. A massive, blade-like wing of pure darkness erupts from Taehyun's back, effortlessly slicing through the basilisk's jaw and sending it reeling in agony. The wing retracts, only for another to burst from his other side, forming a perfect, demonic pair. The basilisk stares in disbelief at Taehyun's new form. He hovers in the air, his eyes glowing red, surrounded by an aura of pure, unimaginable power. "Soon," Taehyun says, his voice dripping with menace, "you're going to learn who the truly inferior one is." Script will skip this panel. With his team helpless, Taehyun faces the beast alone. He dives, demonic wings glowing as he evades massive jaws that slam shut with a deafening crash, earning a shriek of pure frustration from the colossal monster. The basilisk is furious, roaring that he's dodging far too well for a mere human. It unleashes a wave of destructive energy, but Taehyun, with a single flap of his wings, glides effortlessly out of its path. The beast bellows, demanding to know if he's just going to run away like a fly. The sheer force of its roar shakes the cavern, but Taehyun remains completely unfazed. With a cold, mocking look, Taehyun whips around, his wings carving a clean path through the monster's attack and sending it crashing harmlessly into the cavern walls. He looks up at the massive beast, a smirk playing on his lips. He taunts it, saying it's getting all worked up over a single flying insect. His posture is relaxed, almost arrogant. "And here you are," he scoffs, "a lowly lizard crawling on the ground, daring to call someone else inferior?" In his hands, 2 new daggers materialize, glowing with the light of unique grade items. The basilisk's eyes narrow. It recognizes the demonic energy swirling around Taehyun as belonging to a demon he must have devoured. But it scoffs, unimpressed by a borrowed power. "Don't get ahead of yourself," it roars, as a massive vortex of crackling blue energy begins to flood the ground around it. Taehyun looks down at the overwhelming power, but there's no fear in his eyes. The basilisk declares that he isn't the only one blessed by a powerful being from the abyss. It unleashes its ultimate technique, the true power of an archduke named Jormungand, aiming to crush Taehyun completely. The swirling vortex intensifies, a storm of infinite energy that devours everything it touches. The beast sneers, saying that with the petty power of a lesser demon, Taehyun has no chance. With a final, triumphant roar, the basilisk unleashes its full power, positive that its attack will swallow him whole. "You think you can defeat me with that?" But Taehyun just smiles. With a calm, almost bored expression, he looks at the all-consuming attack. This isn't an archduke's power. He raises his hand, his eyes glowing with an intensity that seems to shake the very dungeon. This is Duck, the power of a king. In that instant, a tidal wave of crimson energy erupts from his body, a power so absolute it completely eclipses the basilisk's attack. The red energy forms its own monstrous serpent, even larger and more terrifying than the basilisk's, and utterly devours the blue vortex in a flash of overwhelming force. Suddenly, Kwon Kanyuk gasps, his body jolting as the paralysis finally releases its grip. He lurches forward, his mind reeling. He stumbles to his feet as the rest of the Nightwalker team begins to stir, equally confused. The suffocating pressure that had frozen them solid is just gone. Kanyuk looks around the now empty cavern. "What the hell? Where did that damn lizard go?" he yells. Ah-Young can only stare, speechless. Taehyun lands softly before them, his wings gone as if they were never there. He casually tells them he handled it while they were out. With a smug grin, he announces the dungeon clear. Young stares, trying to process it. That thing was far beyond S-Rank, and he defeated it alone. Kang-hyuk is not having it. He storms over and grabs Taehyun by the collar. "Shouldn't you have told us this was a double dungeon?" he roars. Taehyun just plays dumb, tilting his head with a look of pure innocence. "Huh? How would I know something like that?" Young glares at him, completely unconvinced. "Because you seem to know everything," she mutters. He asks her what she means, but she just stammers, unable to explain the unshakable feeling that he's always 10 steps ahead. Taehyun brushes it all off with a confident smirk. Why get hung up on the details? It all worked out. He adds that he was able to do his part, completely downplaying the fact he just soloed an SS+ monster. He turns to the team and tells them they did great work, that their performance was better than he expected. They seem flustered by the rare praise. But in his mind, the cold truth is revealed. He knew all along. He chose this place specifically to forge them in a trial by fire, an experience as intense as death itself. He'll be counting on them from now on. He knows they'll grow stronger from this. This was never just about clearing a dungeon, it was about building an army. His expression hardens with resolve. He is raising them to be the roots that will protect this world after he is gone, on his lonely mission into the abyss. The scene shifts to a massive press conference, cameras flashing everywhere. A reporter announces that the unrated Paris dungeon has finally been cleared by the US-led team and asks the president for a comment. The press erupts into a frenzy of questions. An official tries to calm them, promising to answer one by one. But as he tries to restore order, the reporters' phones all start buzzing at once. A confused murmur spreads through the crowd. A reporter answers his phone, his face twisting in shock. "What? Is that true?" The news spreads like wildfire through the room. New Korea. Elsewhere, a US. Association liaison smirks as he watches the broadcast. So word has spread about New Korea's little raid party. But his analyst corrects him, his tone serious. "That's not it." His glasses glint as he focuses on the breaking news ticker. New Korea has, the news is undeniable, broadcast live for the world. Kim Tae-hyun's team has cleared an unrated dungeon of their own. The liaison is in disbelief. You have to be joking. How could they clear the snake pit with just S ranks? But the analyst grimly informs him that's not all. He drops the real bombshell. It was a double dungeon. The smug look on the liaison's face vanishes, replaced by pure shock. He can't comprehend it. Even with Tae-hyun clearing a double dungeon with 0 injuries, was New Korea really this powerful? The game has just been completely turned on its head. At the same time, inside a high-tech command center, Cody Wood, the world's #1 player, watches the news feed. He lets out a small, amused laugh. "Well, looks like we've been upstaged." A nearby official grumbles that the Americans were supposed to be the stars of this event. Cody turns away, his expression calm and determined. "Then we'll just have to move faster." He doesn't see this as a defeat. He sees it as a challenge. The race is on. And so, after the news of Kim Tae-hyun's victory spread across the globe, a fierce competition began, with Tae-hyun's Nightwalker Guild and the US-led team raiding one dungeon after another, trying to outdo each other. Tae-hyun looks on with a satisfied smile. Their rivalry was having an unintended, positive side effect. The world was rapidly returning to a state of peace. But while the heroes are busy, shadows are moving. We see a dark, imposing skyscraper at night. Inside, 3 guards in unsettling skull masks block a hallway. "Step back," one of them warns. No one is allowed here. They don't even finish the sentence. A figure blurs past, and one of the guards is sent flying with a cry of agony. In seconds, all 3 are on the floor. The intruder, a well-dressed man with a goatee, clenches his fist as red demonic energy crackles around it. "Low-class demons," he scoffs. His eyes glow with a menacing red light. "How dare you stand in my way? This is Lee Jong-soo, chairman of the Taesan Group, and he's clearly made a deal with a devil." He storms into an office where another man is waiting. Chairman Lee looks deeply troubled, lost in his own dark thoughts. The man waiting for him speaks, his voice dripping with condescension. "Chairman Lee, we didn't open this place for you to just drop by whenever you please." Lee whirls on him, his patience gone. "The malicious guild, you're not just incompetent, you're shameless," he spits. "Do you have any idea why I'm here?" He is absolutely furious. Our deal was to eliminate Kim Tae-hyun, but look at him. He's an SS rank now, completely beyond our reach. He rants about how Tae-hyun is now running around like a hero, leaving no room for his own Taesan guild to grow. His voice cracks with rage and desperation. His son is broken, his empire is crumbling, all because of their failure. "You expect me to just endure this?" A calm, disembodied voice cuts through his anger. "I understand your frustration." Suddenly, a black, tar-like substance slithers into the room. "But as I told you before," the voice continues. Chairman Lee's eyes widen in alarm. This is not the man he was just speaking to. A new figure looms behind him, clad in black with a glowing red mask. Tendrils of shadow reach out from his body. "Isn't Tayson aiming for a bigger picture?" he asks, his voice low and sinister. The shadowy tendrils instantly wrap around Lee's men, who cry out in terror before being silenced. Chairman Lee freezes, sweat beading on his forehead. The masked man is directly behind him, having moved without a sound. "When did you get here?" The masked figure speaks calmly, admitting that even they didn't see Kim Tae-hyun's explosive growth coming. "But we have not given up," he assures him, "because eventually he and we will clash." A shadowy, clawed hand gestures dismissively. "But let's talk business, shall we?" The masked man presents Chairman Lee with a small, high-tech device. "What is this?" Lee asks, wary. The man explains it's an item their guildmaster stole from the Chinese Player Association, containing all of their experimental data. He leans in close, his red eyes glowing ominously through his mask. "A wise chairman like yourself," he says, his voice a tempting whisper, "would surely know how to use this for the benefit of the Tizen Group." The gears are turning in Chairman Lee's head. His eye glows red. This is a dangerous, desperate offer, but one he can't refuse. Lee straightens up, a confident, calculating smile spreading across his face. The desperation is gone, replaced by renewed ambition. Now we're speaking the same language. A dark, greedy grin twists his features. A new, unholy alliance has just been forged, and Kim Tae-hyun has a new, hidden enemy, armed with the very research he fought so hard to destroy. End of chapter. Nearly a year has passed since the world's players began their great conquest. A year of non-stop war and unimaginable growth. Now, as Tae-hyun's team steps out of the final unrated dungeon, an era comes to a close. All the festering wounds on the planet have finally been healed, and the world holds its breath, waiting to see what comes next. Park Sung-jin, now a certified national-level player, looks at the horizon with a sense of accomplishment. So, it's finally over. At first, he doubted it was even possible, but they actually did it. Kwon Kang-yuk, ever the battle addict, stretches and grins, almost disappointed there are no more dungeons left to conquer. He was just hitting his stride. Script will skip this panel. Another of Korea's new national-level players, Gwak Seong, discusses future plans with her comrades now that the Great Conquest is finally finished. The mood is light, with Kang-hyuk boasting loudly as the others joke around, relieved and triumphant. Lim Ah-young, fully recovered and stronger than ever, rallies the group, her fighting spirit unbroken. It's an incredible sight. Thanks to Tae-hyun's ruthless leadership, all of New Korea's top players have successfully reached the national level. To the rest of the world, it seems like becoming SSS-Rank is the obvious next step for this monstrously talented team. But Tae-hyun knows the truth. He can feel his own immense power, but as he clenches his fist, a grim look crosses his face. For what comes next, it's still not enough. "I guess it's about time," he thinks. He arrives at the Korean Player Association headquarters to see one man in particular. "It's been a while, sir." Director Bang Chae-soo rushes to greet him, his face lighting up with a brilliant smile. "Oh, come in, come in." He grasps Tae-hyun's hands, a deep sense of respect and gratitude in his eyes as he welcomes the nation's hero. As they sit, Tae-hyun congratulates him on his new position as head of the Skill Research Division. Director Bang just laughs it off modestly. The old man looks out the window, his expression wistful. For a man who had lost all hope, being able to live on like this, it still feels like a dream. "It's all thanks to you," he says, his voice thick with emotion. Tae-hyun gives a small, knowing smile, remembering what it took to get here. Bang Chae-soo was once a disgraced researcher, an expert in the forbidden art of skill fusion. He was on the verge of ruin, having admitted to testing his skills on live demons, a career-ending crime. But thanks to Tae-hyun's intervention, he was given a second chance and now dedicates his life to helping the players of New Korea. The director gets straight to business. "So, what brings the busiest player in the world to my office? You didn't come all this way for small talk, did you?" Tae-hyun's expression turns serious. "Actually," he begins, "I have another favor to ask you." Director Bang looks surprised, but his loyalty is absolute. "I'm surprised you have anything left to ask of me. Go on. I'll help with anything I can." Tae-hyun leans forward and drops a bombshell. "I want to perform a skill fusion." The director is confused. "But you've already fused skills." Taihun cuts him off, a sharp glint in his eye. Is there a rule that says I can't fuse it again? The director's face drains of color as he comprehends the impossible suggestion. He leaps to his feet in protest. A fusion of a fusion? That's never been done before. He reminds Taihun of the danger, the risk of a mana backlash that could destroy him. You're already unbelievably strong. If you push further, your body might not withstand it. But Taihun's resolve is absolute. A faint aura flares around him. There is something I must achieve, he says, his voice like steel. And with my current strength, it's not enough. You're the only one who can help me do this. He gives the director a look of unwavering confidence. Don't worry, I've forged a body that can endure it. Defeated by that insane determination, Director Bang slumps into his chair. You really? He sighs, a mix of awe and exasperation in his voice. I can't keep up with you. They stand before a massive fusion chamber. Bang explains that it's built with advanced technology and a powerful mana stone to amplify his skill. It's the first time it will ever be used. The moment of truth arrives. Bang warns him that once they start, there's no turning back. Are you ready? Taehyoon's answer is immediate. Anytime. With that, the director begins the process. Taehyoon stands in the center of the chamber as immense energy crackles around him, his body tensing against the incredible pressure. A system voice announces, "Initiating skill fusion." A blinding column of light erupts, engulfing him. He lets out a pained grunt as the raw power floods his very being. Inside his mind, his body is just a silhouette against the overwhelming force. But he's not alone. His other self, the godlike entity Devour, is watching. Choosing you, its voice echoes in the void, was not a mistake. Devour senses the strain on Taehyoon's mortal form. To control such massive power, a human body has its limits. Its eyes narrow. Perhaps it is time I lend a little help. Devour's crimson eye flashes, and a wave of its own divine power surges into the fusion. An unknown force is altering the process. His rank is shifting. An unimaginable power is awakening. Taehyun screams as the combined energy rewrites his soul. The system announces that new skills have been registered. With a soft hiss, the chamber door opens. Taehyun stands there, dark energy crackling from his fingertips. He looks at his hands, feeling the raw, untamed power coursing through him. His status window confirms it. He's been reborn. His skill list is completely new. Beneath his unique skill, Devour, are a host of new S-rank abilities, Perfect Hypnosis, Blood Rampage, Eye of the Superior, and his summons have been upgraded too, now including Rosaria, Jormungand, and even Beelzebub, the Demon King. His arsenal is on an entirely new level. He realizes the skills weren't just fused, they were reorganized. This power-up didn't just create new abilities, it allowed him to finally perceive the true depth of the power he held all along. Outside, the director's assistants are panicking from the sheer force that erupted from the chamber. What's going on? Director Bang, though shaken, waves them off. I'm fine, he stammers, his eyes glued to the chamber. His aide asks about the one inside, but the director can only stare in utter disbelief. With a look of pure awe, Director Bang understands the magnitude of what just occurred. It seems we are truly witnessing history unfold. As Taehyun emerges, surrounded by a shimmering aura, it's clear he has ascended to a level no one has ever seen. And deep within his soul, the eye of Devour watches, satisfied. Their fates are now more intertwined than ever. Sometime later, back at the Korean Player Association, Chairman Ji Jin-hee sits patiently, waiting for Taehyun. Taehyun arrives, a bead of sweat on his brow. It turns out, even after becoming a walking god, he's not immune to a good, old-fashioned scolding. Chairman Ji sternly reminds him that damaging, expensive, one-of-a-kind association property is a problem. Taehyun can only stand there and apologize like a chastised child. But the chairman can't stay mad for long. He admits that considering all Taehyun's done for them, he'll handle the costs. A fusion of fusions, he shakes his head in amazement. You've done something truly unimaginable. He asks Taehyun how he feels. Taehyun clenches his fist, a dangerous light in his eyes. Yes, my body is overflowing with power. I feel like I could jump into the abyss right now. He's eager to test his new Archduke skills, but the chairman knows how busy he is and begins to dismiss him. But just as Tae-hyun turns to leave, the chairman stops him. "Ah, come to think of it, a request came in for you. What do you plan to do about it?" He explains that the request came from the World Player Association. Tae-hyun looks curious. "What is it?" The chairman delivers the news. "We see images of the world's strongest players gathering elite S ranks from every nation, all vying for the ultimate prize. Player Kim Tae-hyun," the chairman says. "They want you to be an examiner for the new SS-Rank player license." A smirk plays on Tae-hyun's lips. Already time for new SS ranks, huh? Time really flies. At the examination site, the air is thick with anticipation. Players whisper as Tae-hyun walks by. "Is that the Kim Tae-hyun?" They say he rivals Cody Wood. An official greets him formally, thanking him for accepting the role. A living legend is here. The World Player Association chairman, Vincent Chang, steps forward. "Looks like everyone is here." He introduces the other examiners, the stoic American SS rank, Thomas Provine, righty, and the man who needs no introduction, the world's #1, Cody Wood. With 3 of the world's most powerful beings as judges, the candidates know this is the most intimidating exam in history. Chairman Chang begins to explain the formal procedure. The association would like to suggest a scoring system, where each player, Tae-hyun, cuts him off, his voice laced with boredom. "Do we really need to make it this complicated?" Before anyone can react, a crushing wave of red energy explodes from Tae-hyun, slamming into everyone in the room. Chairman Chang stumbles back, his face a mask of shock and outrage. "Player Kim Tae-hyun." Tae-hyun's voice cuts through the chaos, cold and absolute. What a player needs is strong will and power. A cruel smile touches his lips as his aura intensifies. "Just press down and see who breaks. We can test their skills at the same time." 2 birds with 1 stone. Chung tries to protest, stammering, "Wait, that's far too extreme." But another voice cuts in, low and calm. Cody Wood, who had been watching silently, murmurs one word: "Interesting." And with that, an equally terrifying aura, a whirlwind of gray, oppressive energy erupts from Cody, joining Tae-hyun's. Cody looks at Tae-hyun, a silent challenge passing between them as he declares, "I'll join in." The officials are now in a full-blown panic. "I get Tae-hyun, but why Cody Wood too?" one of them cries. "Chairman, this will ruin the entire plan." The candidates are on their knees, choking under the combined pressure of 2 absolute monsters, a single, terrified thought running through their minds. The difficulty of this test, is this for real? End of chapter. The crushing pressure from 2 of the world's strongest players finally recedes, leaving the candidates gasping on the floor. The initial test is over. A shaken Chairman Chang announces that the test will now proceed as duels, per the examiner's decision. He's lost all control of the situation, and he knows it. He instructs the 3 SS rank examiners to divide the participants among themselves. Cody Wood, ever the stoic, turns to face the crowd. The chairman assigns the training rooms, with Tae-hyun and Thomas each taking a group, leaving the world's #1 to handle the rest. In the crowd, a candidate named Jeffrey is already seething, muttering about the examiners acting all high and mighty. A woman next to him, Sarah, tries to calm him down. But Jeffrey isn't listening. He insists the only difference between them is time and achievements, boasting that they wouldn't lose in a real fight. He turns to Sarah, telling her she can't hide in her master's shadow forever. His words clearly strike a nerve. Jeffrey's eyes burn with arrogant ambition. "Today," he declares, "I'll crush those smug faces." He glances at Tae-hyun, his voice filled with venom. Especially that arrogant Kim Tae-hyun. Moments later, Tae-hyun stands before his assigned group. He looks them over and greets them with a casual, "Nice to meet you, rookies." He introduces himself formally. "I've been appointed as your examiner. My name is Kim Tae-hyun." A dangerous glint enters his eyes. "The rule I've set is incredibly simple." He raises a finger to his lips, a mocking smile on his face. "Land 1 solid hit on me. Just once. Doable, right?" The candidates are taken aback. Just 1 hit? That sounds almost too easy. Tae-hyun's smile widens into a sinister grin, his face cast in shadow. "But the thing is, I don't think even that is possible for you." He gestures dismissively, his arrogance on full display. "So, Come at me. All at once. The candidates are stunned. Sarah McQueen looks on, sweat beading on her face. Her instincts are screaming that this is a trap. But Jeffrey, the hothead, has already taken the bait. This bastard, he seethes, his mana flaring. There's a limit to how much you can look down on people, he roars, ignoring Sarah's warning as he charges forward. Taehyun doesn't even move, a faint shimmer of power enveloping him as the punch flies towards him. Jeffrey screams, "Gotcha!" But in the next instant, he's sent flying backward, slamming into the wall with brutal force before he even registered what happened. The other candidates can only stare at the cloud of dust. They didn't see a single thing. Jeffrey lies crumpled on the floor, battered and broken. The first move of the exam is over. Taehyun clenches his fist, a faint red aura swirling around it. He looks at the fallen candidate with utter disappointment. One down. The gap in their power is absolute. He didn't just dodge, he dismantled the attack and the attacker in a single, invisible motion. Sarah McQueen's eyes widen, a flicker of fear mixing with fierce resolve. This is the level of a true SS-Rank. She quickly takes command, shouting at the others not to rush in blindly. Stay calm, aim together and create an opening. Spurred on by her words, the remaining candidates launch a coordinated assault from all directions. Shate 850-2929. Narrator. But it's useless. Taehyun moves like a phantom, effortlessly weaving between punches and energy blasts. He doesn't just dodge, he counters and redirects, using their own momentum against them with terrifying efficiency. The room becomes a storm of chaotic energy as they desperately try to land a single blow on the untouchable figure at its center. A faint red energy trails from his foot. He's not even trying. He moves through their attacks like a dance, a blur of motion they can't possibly hope to follow. With a single, precise kick, he sends another candidate flying across the room. Another manages to block a blow, but the force behind it is so immense he can only grunt in pain. In a brutal display of dominance, Taehyun catches a punch and slams the attacker into the ground, cracking the floor beneath them. Sarah watches in disbelief. Even with all of them attacking at once, they can't even touch him. Is he a monster? She thinks, her calm demeanor finally breaking. Taehyun stops amidst the fallen bodies, a look of sheer boredom on his face. This is far below my expectations. He turns to Sarah and the few others still standing. You're better than those idiots who fell for a cheap taunt, but just standing there won't get you anywhere, will it? He goads, pushing them to act. The remaining candidates flinch. What can they possibly do against a monster like this? Sarah's eyes narrow. A direct assault is pointless. They need a different plan. She turns to the others. Everyone, would you mind if I pitched an idea? She steps forward, taking her stand before Taehyun, her resolve like steel. Taehyun raises an eyebrow, a hint of curiosity in his expression. A beautiful green, leaf-like aura begins to swirl around her body. Her eyes glow with power as she takes a deep breath, concentrating all of her mana. Taehyun watches, intrigued. I was wondering what you were all whispering about. A skill? He asks with a smirk. Got something bold enough to face me? Sarah's expression is grim but determined. Let's find out, she says, unleashing her power. An immense shockwave of turquoise energy erupts from her, slamming into Taehyun. To his surprise, the attack actually has some real force behind it, and he's forced to put up a hand to block. A flicker of hope appears in her eyes. You blocked that? But Taehyun is just talking to himself. But this was just the opening move. Before Taehyun can react, Sarah lunges forward, grabbing his arm with all her might. Everyone now, she screams. Blast him away along with me! She's turned herself into the ultimate bait, holding the monster in place for one last, desperate attack. Taehyun sees her plan instantly. She's willing to sacrifice herself just to create an opening. A dark, almost appreciative smile spreads across his face. He's impressed. He decides to end this. He utters a single word, activating one of his new, terrifying skills. Apocalypse. An explosion of pure darkness erupts from him, swallowing everything in the room. The candidates are plunged into a void of nothingness. What is this? I can't see anything! One of them screams in terror. Their senses are being overwhelmed. They can't breathe. They can't move. Red chains bind them as they scream for help in the suffocating darkness. This is the power of the king's domain. An absolute skill that strips away your senses and binds your body. No average player could possibly withstand it. But as the others fall, Taehyun notices something. He looks down at Sarah. She's still clinging to his arm, trembling but holding on. "But you're holding out quite well." Through gritted teeth, she gasps, "My master taught me to never give up. An opportunity will always come." Taehyun realizes what she's doing. She's absorbing mana from her surroundings, even from the fallen candidates, and converting it into her own power. That's how she's resisting him. But the strain is immense. The power flowing from him begins to overload her body. With a final, desperate cry, she knows this is her one and only chance. This is the moment. As his skill overpowers her, the chains binding her body shatter. Her fist, freed for just a split second, flies toward his face. But just as it's about to connect, her body freezes, paralyzed by the backlash. "My body, it won't move." He uses his perfect hypnosis skill, and rose petals flutter around them as he stops her just inches from his face. His eyes glow red. The fight is over. He looks down at the field of defeated candidates. "Your fist didn't land, but you gave it your all. We'll count that as a valid hit." He looks at Sarah, exhausted but unbroken. "Sarah McQueen, you pass." Taehyun knew she was special. Sarah McQueen, user of the skill Terraforming, a future SS rank known as the Hope of America. He puts the pieces together. The master she mentioned, he turns and gives a slight nod towards the observation room. "Congratulations." In the control room, Cody Wood stands, his expression unmoving. Taehyun's voice seems to echo in his mind. "Your student has passed." An official reports to Chairman Chang. "Chairman, the test is complete." Chang leaps to his feet. "Already? What are the results?" The official delivers the disastrous news. "Only one passed, Sarah McQueen, from the United States." The chairman's face turns pale. "Only one person. We're completely screwed." He thinks about how the World Player Association had lost all its influence because of Taehyun. This exam was supposed to be their big comeback, and now it's a total failure. Taehyun only passed one person, while Cody and Thomas didn't pass anyone at all. Maybe they had rushed this whole thing. Just then, another aide bursts in, panicking. "Chairman?" Chang, at his wit's end, snaps, "What is it now?" The aide stammers, "Player Cody Wood is requesting a sparring match with player Kim Taehyun. Oh, he's reserving the highest tier training room." The chairman is speechless, his mind blown. "What did you just say?" In the massive, empty arena, the two titans face each other. The world's #1 player and the rogue variable who shook the entire system. The real test is about to begin. The exam is over, but the real test has just begun. In the ruined arena, Taehyun looks to the observation deck, speaking to the man he knows is watching. "Congratulations, your student passed." Cody Wood has entered the arena. Taehyun turns to him with a smirk. "I doubt you came all this way just for that. So, what do you want?" Cody's expression is intense. "You feel that thirst too, don't you?" he says. "No one here could satisfy me either." He looks Taehyun dead in the eyes, recognizing a deep, unsettling kinship. "You and I are the same kind, Kim Taehyun." An immense pressure radiates from Cody's body, his golden eyes glowing. He cuts right to the chase, his voice a low challenge. "How about a fight?" Taehyun knew this was coming. He figured they'd clash eventually, but he never expected it to be right here, right now. But a surge of excitement courses through him. He doesn't know why Cody is doing this, but he doesn't mind one bit. He clenches his fist, eager to finally find out just how strong he's truly become. A confident, almost feral grin spreads across his face. This is the ultimate test, a real fight against the strongest man in the world. Script, we'll skip this panel. In the control room, the staff watches the two titans on the screen, the air thick with tension. The officials are panicking. What should we do? These are the two strongest players in the world. Shouldn't we stop them? But Chairman Chang makes the call. Can we even stop them? Let them do as they please. He sees an opportunity. Just make sure you record everything. This is his chance to salvage something from the disastrous exam. By gathering data on these two monsters, they might even get some unexpected publicity. The chairman takes full responsibility. The decision is made. Proceed. An announcement echoes through the facility. Permission has been granted to use the facility. However, everything that happens here will be recorded, Cody relays, but he knows it doesn't matter. Once their real power is unleashed, any recording will be useless. Taehyun crosses his arms, a mocking grin on his face. I didn't think someone like you would be the first to challenge me, Cody scoffs. Isn't this good for you? You were probably eyeing my #1 rank. Taehyun fires back instantly, his arrogance unmatched. If I wanted that spot, you know I could have taken it any time. Cody is completely unfazed. He knows Taehyun's sharp tongue is just another weapon, and it won't work on him. The cameras in the arena whir to life. The fight begins without another word. In a flash, they collide, the impact sending a massive shockwave that cracks the reinforced floor like glass. Taehyun moves in a blur, throwing a powerful right hook, his fist glowing with a faint red aura. Cody's golden eyes narrow, tracking the blow with inhuman speed. Taehyun presses his attack, his movements fluid and deadly. Cody matches his speed, closing the distance in an instant. Their fists and feet become a storm of pure power, each blow strong enough to shatter steel. Taehyun's eyes widen slightly. He's met with equal force, equal speed. He's finally found his match. Another thunderous clash, and they're both blown back by the sheer force of the impact. Taehyun blocks a powerful strike, analyzing the exchange. As expected, he thinks. Cody feels it too. Their raw physical power is perfectly equal. This won't be a simple brawl. In that case, this fight will come down to their skills. Taehyun slides back, creating distance as he prepares to unleash the skill he believes will end this. He extends his hand, his eyes glowing with a terrifying crimson light. Apocalypse. The world around Cody dissolves into a swirling vortex of red and black, a domain of absolute despair. Red chains of pure energy wrap around Cody's limbs, binding him. He feels the overwhelming power, realizing Taehyun has a skill completely unknown to the world. Taehyun's eyes blaze with red light. "There's probably a lot you don't know about me," he says, confident that his trap has closed. But Cody is far from finished. A brilliant golden light erupts from his hand. "Then today," he says, his voice booming with power, "you'll see everything." With a tremendous roar, Cody shatters the chains in an explosion of holy light. Golden armor materializes around him, a gleaming sword appearing in his hand. This is his own hidden power, Holy Knight. With a single swing of his blade, he tears through the fabric of Taehyun's nightmarish domain. Taehyun is impressed. To break free from Apocalypse with sheer brute force, he smirks. Like master, like student. The fight resumes, a clash of sword and dagger, the sound of their weapons ringing through the crumbling arena. Their powers collide in a massive explosion, the shockwave shattering the supposedly unbreakable observation window. The flurry of attacks is relentless. Taehyun is forced to parry, feeling a thrill he's never felt before. The pure joy of a real fight. Cody feels it too, a burning rhythm deep in his chest. He knows it for certain now. There's no doubt. This man, Kim Taehyun, is the strongest opponent he has ever faced. In the control room, the monitors all fizzle out, going blank. The officials are in a full-blown panic. What's happening? Do we have any cameras left? They know it's too dangerous to send anyone close. Chairman Chang makes a bold decision. "I'll go myself," he declares, determined to witness this historic moment firsthand. He knows this facility was built to withstand dozens of rampaging SS ranks, but the power these two are unleashing is already far beyond even that. Back in the arena, Taehyun catches his breath. The entire building is shaking apart. "At this rate," he says, "the building will collapse before we have a winner." Cody, his voice muffled by his helmet, agrees. "So how about we stop holding back and finish this?" Taehyun tries to play it cool. "I've been going all out this whole time." Cody sees right through the lie. "Don't lie." And then Cody drops a bombshell, revealing a level of knowledge that should be impossible. "Kim Taehyun, you haven't used the Archduke's power yet, have you?" Taehyun freezes, completely stunned. "Cody, how do you know about that?" Cody's reply sends a chill down his spine. "You're not the only one who knows the secrets of the Abyss's deepest levels." He makes a shocking confession, one that changes everything. "I am also an Archduke's contractor." He looks directly at Taehyun. "Tell me, Kim Taehyun, what kind of monster did you make a pact with?" Taehyun's mind is reeling. He thought the other contractors were in China. He never imagined that Cody Wood, the world's #1 hero, was one of them. He analyzes the situation. Cody said, "Archduke, not the king. His ultimate secret is still safe." He decides to keep his true power hidden and unleashes the power of the vampire lord Igmun instead. Chait 86CA59, narrator. Cody recognizes the demonic aura. Vampire lord Igmun, Taehyun counters. And what about you? The cross on Cody's helmet begins to glow, not with holy light, but with an ominous, dark purple energy. The holy power twists, corrupted into something dark and terrifying. A pair of massive, feathery wings, black as night, unfurls from his back. His helmet retracts, revealing his transformation. This isn't a holy knight. This is something else entirely. He announces the name of his true contractor, fallen angel Lucifer. The two beings of immense, borrowed power face each other. Lucifer's contractor versus the chosen of the king. They both know this is the end. Let's go. Let's finish this. They lunge at each other one last time. The world itself seems to disappear in a cataclysmic explosion of red and purple light. The final, decisive clash between the two strongest players on Earth. Script will skip this panel. The entire facility groans, shaking from the aftershock of their final attack. Chairman Chang and his men rush towards the source, their faces pale with dread. Cody, and what about Kim Tae-yun? One of them shouts, his voice strained with panic as they peer through the dust and rubble. Inside the ruined arena, Cody Wood stands ready, his blade still humming with power. He senses the approaching officials. Looks like we have company. Taehyun, his own demonic aura still swirling around him, agrees. Seems so. In that case, Cody raises his sword, catching the last of Taehyun's attack. Their powers lock in a tense stalemate. For now, Cody suggests, should we call it a draw? The immense pressure between them finally fades. Cody's transformation dissipates, and he looks at Tae-hyun with a newfound respect. All right, next time we meet, it will be in the abyss. Taehyun's hand returns to normal, the vampiric energy receding. He meets Cody's gaze, his own determination burning just as bright. Let's settle things then. This isn't an end. It's a promise. Chairman Chang finally arrives, staring in disbelief at the two men standing calmly amidst the utter devastation. Are you both okay? Taehyun gives them a completely unremorseful smile. Yes, I think we caused a bit of chaos. Sorry about that. He turns his back on the stunned chairman, casually waving over his shoulder. Please take care of the aftermath. Chang can only stammer out his name, but it's too late. Taehyun walks away, his purpose clear. It's finally time for me to go. His destination is set. He's heading into the abyss. We're pulled into that very realm, a dark, gothic castle floating in an endless void. The domain of an archduke. Suddenly, a wave of purple energy blasts through the quiet, a violent and unwelcome intrusion. The magical flames flicker wildly as the unwanted guest makes his presence known. On a massive, ornate throne sits Rosaria, the grand succubus queen. She sighs, her voice dripping with annoyance. Honestly, she looks down at the intruder with a mix of boredom and irritation, mocking him for trying to start a power dispute by breaking her things. The intruder, an avatar of the vampire lord Igmun, clenches his fist, red energy crackling around it. He's not here for a fight. He tells her there might be a simpler way to settle this. His voice echoes through the hall, addressing her by name, Rosaria. He gets straight to the point, his eyes glowing with malice. Call forth your contractor. Rosaria leans back on her throne, looking down at him with disdain. My contractor, and why would I do that? Igmun is furious. He snaps that this isn't some petty squabble. This is about the fact that her contractor is using his power without permission. But Rosaria just bursts into cruel, mocking laughter. So that's what those rumors were about. That's what happened. She muses that compared to her own power, Igmun's might be better suited to her master's tastes. Igmun's patience wears thin. He can tell she knows something. Tell me, he demands. Rosaria's eyes glow, her demonic aura flaring. That's not a very polite way to ask for a favor, is it? She taunts. But his expression is cold, his own power building. Do I look like I'm asking? Rosaria signals her guards to stand down. She decides she'll teach this arrogant vampire a lesson in manners herself. In a flash, she's off her throne, moving with incredible speed. She slams into him with a powerful blow, sending a shockwave through the hall. Igmun holds his ground, a web of red energy deflecting her attack. A rotting thing thinks it can lecture me, he sneers. He counters, summoning a hail of blood-red swords. The swords rain down, but Rosaria is unimpressed, weaving through the attacks with her shadowy tendrils. We're not so different, you and I. Their powers clash in a furious storm of red and purple. One of her tendrils catches him off guard, slamming into his side. The blow sends him flying, crashing hard into the stone floor. He grunts in pain, but quickly gets back to his feet. Rosaria lands gracefully, her massive wings spreading behind her. She unleashes a massive beam of energy, but he disperses into a cloud of bats, dodging the attack completely. She lands, her heel cracking the ground beneath her. She is clearly the superior fighter. Her shadowy tendrils lash out, wrapping around him once more. She holds him fast, her power absolute. Dark red spikes erupt from her own blood, surrounding him, ready to impale him. "Blood-field," she declares coldly. But Igmoon isn't finished. "Rosaria," he asks, trying to change the subject, "is this a power your contractor gave you?" His blade is at her throat, but her expression is one of pure fury. "Have you forgotten what my true power is?" Her eyes glow with a terrifying light. With a flash of power, she shatters his weapon. Igmoon is thrown back, utterly defeated. Rosaria's power fills the room, creating an illusion, a personal space where she is in complete control. Igmoon realizes the game has changed. He accuses her of toying with him. "This is the realm where my power is at its peak," she explains, mocking him for thinking he could challenge her with a mere avatar. Igmoon grumbles that he'll return with his true body, but Rosaria interrupts him. "No, Igmoon." A knowing, almost seductive smile plays on her lips. "If you're that curious, for old time's sake, I could tell you." She leans in, revealing a secret that shakes the very foundations of their world. She speaks of a memory, of a human who brought every single archduke to their knees, a human who claimed all their powers for his own. Igmoon's face registers pure shock. "No way," Rosaria's smile widens. "Yes, that legendary warrior. My contractor is... no, the key to finding him." The scene shifts back to Earth. Tae-yoon arrives at the Korean Player Association, completely unaware of the bombshells being dropped about him in another realm. The staff rushes to greet him, clearly flustered. Player Kim Tae-hyun, an American official Marcus Gore, explains they've been waiting for him. Tae-hyun cuts right to the chase. "What do you need?" Marcus gets straight to the point. "The United States Player Association, R, is officially requesting your help." Tae-hyun's expression hardens. He knows this isn't a simple request. Sounds like something serious happened. Marcus pushes up his glasses, his face grim. "Yes," he explains that one of their players went missing deep within the abyss. A search party of 4 other SS-Rank players was sent after them, and they were completely annihilated. He lists the names of the fallen heroes. 4 of the world's strongest players, all dead. Tae-hyun is speechless, Marcus continues, his voice heavy with despair. They can no longer guarantee the missing players' survival. And because of that, Cody Wood went into the abyss alone to find them. "We believe Cody may also be in danger," he pleads. "That's why we've come to you. Please, we need your help." Tae-hyun's mind flashes back to his past life. He remembers this, the day 4 SS ranks were wiped out. It was a shocking event, but the details are wrong. There was never any talk of a search party or a missing player. The timeline has been altered. He asks the one question that matters. Who is it? Who is the missing player? The answer is revealed in a dark vision of the abyss, a lone figure bound and helpless. The missing SS rank player is Ricky Hollies. The name hits Tae-hyun like a physical blow. Ricky Hollies, and in a single horrifying moment, it all clicks into place. The massacre of SS ranks from his past life. This whole rescue mission is just a cover for the same event. And Ricky, she was never supposed to be here in the first place. He saved her life, only to twist her fate and throw her right into the path of a monster. The weight of that mistake crashes down on him. The American official keeps talking, pleading about how essential Ricky and Cody are for humanity's survival. He reminds Tae-hyun that 4 other SS rank players are already gone, and they can't afford to lose 2 more. As he starts promising the full support of the US Association, Tae-hyun cuts him off. The debate is already over in his mind. "That's enough. Where do I need to go?" Just then, Chairman G rushes in, his face a mask of alarm. "Please reconsider," he begs. "You heard him. Multiple SS rank players have already been killed. We need a better plan." No narration needed. But for Tae-hyun, there is no time for a plan. Every moment they waste talking is another moment Ricky is fighting for her life. He remembers her face after he saved her from the curse, battered and exhausted, but her trust in him was absolute. She promised she'd have his back if he was ever in danger. A new determination hardens his features. This isn't just a mission, it's a debt he has to repay. Chairman Ji can only watch as Tae-hyun walks away, his decision final. His subordinate tries to reassure him. We should have faith in him. He's always exceeded our expectations. The chairman's gaze is distant, troubled, I know. But still, he's seen this story play out before. He knows the danger of pinning all of humanity's hopes on the shoulders of one person. He remembers a time when they only believed bull. And he remembers all too well the tragedy that blind faith led to. Sensing his deep unease, the subordinate says firmly, Tae-hyun is different from that person. The chairman sighs, clasping his hands together. I'm sure he is. It's just an old man's worry. Meanwhile, under the blood-red sky of the abyss, a battle rages inside a massive, floating castle. A monstrous, shark-like demon lets out a ferocious roar as it swings a colossal axe. But its attack is met by a lone figure in gleaming golden armor. Cody Wood, fighting for his very life. A spear of pure light pierces another demon, but the demonic hordes are endless. He's already wounded, blood seeping through a deep gash in his side. He takes a ragged breath, trying desperately to recover his stamina. Surrounded by a sea of fallen monsters, he knows it's not enough. No matter how many he cuts down, they just keep coming. Then, a familiar voice cuts through the chaos. Then, why not just wipe them all out at once? A figure lands softly amidst the demonic horde. The demons turn on the newcomer with shrieks of pure rage. But in a single, violent flash of movement, the monsters surrounding Cody are instantly annihilated. Tae-hyun stands there, a crimson aura crackling around him, a cocky grin on his face. Looks like you needed some help, Cody. The two rivals stand back to back, surrounded by the remnants of the demonic assault. Cody sighs in relief, his voice weary. Marcus sent you. Normally, I'd call it a pointless move, but I'm not in a position to be picky. I appreciate the help. Tae-hyun glances around, taking in the suffocating demonic energy of the castle. Now he understands why they sent him. The power here is overwhelming. I didn't expect the place where Ricky went missing to be an archduke's castle, he says, the grim reality of their situation setting in. Cody confirms that Ricky is still alive. Her mana signature is leading them further underground. Tae-hyun knows what that means. If they go deeper, they'll walk right into the lair of the Archduke himself. Their odds of winning that fight are almost zero. Cody clenches his fist. Then this has to be a speed run. Can you keep up? Tae-hyun's daggers flash into his hands, glowing with red light. Try to keep up with me. With that, they explode into action, a whirlwind of steel and demonic energy. They become a blur of coordinated destruction, fighting as a perfect, seamless unit. Tae-hyun weaves through the enemy ranks, his movements a precise and deadly dance, while Cody acts as a bastion of power, clearing their path. Tae-hyun taunts him. You sure you're the same guy who was struggling just a minute ago? Cody retorts as a blue aura flares around him. I was just saving my strength until you showed up. Cody can't help but find the situation ironic. After they promised a showdown in the abyss, here they were, fighting together as allies. Tae-hyun agrees. Having someone I can trust to watch my back, this isn't so bad either. The two of them, two of humanity's greatest forces, fighting side by side. For the first time since entering this hell, a flicker of genuine hope ignites within Cody. Maybe, just maybe, they could actually save Ricky. Together, they carve a path of utter destruction straight through the heart of the demonic army. They finally reach a large, open chamber. This has to be the heart of the castle. The path leading underground must be somewhere nearby. Cody suggests splitting up to search, but Tae-hyun's instincts scream at him. If we split up, one of us will probably die here. And just as he says it, a blur of motion strikes from the shadows, sending Cody flying. The attack is unbelievably fast, a flash of light that slams Cody into a distant wall. Tae-hyun reacts instantly, his dagger blocking a follow-up strike aimed directly at his throat. The blade that meets his glows with a sinister, pale blue energy. Tae-hyun's hand bleeds as he stops the attack just inches from his neck. The attacker stands before him, a man with long, dark hair and a terrifyingly familiar, sinister smile. Hey, finally got to meet the celebrity. He looks Taehyun over, his eyes filled with a predatory glee. "You're the ace of New Korea now, right? Kim Taehyun." Taehyun stares at the man, his mind racing. "Who are you?" The man feigns surprise. "What, that old man Ji Jin-hee didn't tell you anything?" With blinding speed, he unleashes another attack, slamming Taehyun to the ground as he introduces himself. "My name is Min Ji-hong. I'm the guildmaster of Axiong." He looms over Taehyun, his hand crackling with a strange power. "Maybe you could call me your senior." Just then, Cody comes charging in, his sword aimed at Min Ji-hong's back. But Min Ji-hong sidesteps the attack effortlessly, kicking Cody away with a disgusted grunt. Taehyun knows that weak attack wasn't Cody's real power. If it was, he never would have become the world's #1. He shouts what he knows to Cody. "That guy, Min Ji-hong, he's the guildmaster of Axiong. He's a major criminal on the international wanted list." Cody looks at the intruder, his expression grim. The question is, why is someone like that here? A cold dread begins to creep into Taehyun's mind. Min Ji-hong taunts him. "Think a little harder. How could a mere human be waiting for you in the heart of the Archduke's castle?" The terrible truth dawns on him. "Don't tell me." He covers his face, his mind reeling from the unbelievable implication. A massive wave of dark energy explodes from Min Ji-hong, throwing Taehyun and Cody back. He stands there, his body crackling with the unmistakable power of an archduke. "I'm the same as you," he declares, a mad grin spreading across his face. He points his finger at them, issuing a terrifying challenge. "Come on then, among fellow Archduke contractors, let's have a hell of a fight to the death." Deep in the dungeons far below, the heavy rattle of chains echoes in the dark. A figure stirs, weakened but alive. Ricky Hollies, bruised and chained to a wall, hears the chaos from above. She whispers the name of the man she knew came for her, Cody. But then she hears another voice, another presence she recognizes. A question hangs in the air, filled with confusion and a flicker of hope. "Kim Taehyun?" No narration needed. 3 Archduke contractors. The air crackles with raw, demonic energy as Taehyun and Cody brace for the inevitable. Cody mutters what they're both thinking. The leader of the Axiong Guild, being an Archduke's contractor, is a waking nightmare. But Taehyun cuts him short. They can worry about who he is later. Min Ji-hong just stands there, his eye glowing with an eerie light. He knows what his presence means. The Archduke sent his personal contractor, which means he already knows they're here. Taehyun's mind races. The fact that the Archduke himself isn't moving means he's either arrogant or tied up with something else. Either way, this is their only chance to get Ricky out of here. No narration needed. The plan is simple, a pincer attack. Cody agrees without hesitation, his armor flaring with golden light. "I'll take the offensive." Taehyun's eyes narrow, his own demonic energy building. "And I'll back you up." With that, Cody explodes forward, a blur of golden light and righteous fury. Min Ji-hong scoffs at the direct assault. Whoa, what's with the head-on attack?" He seems almost bored as red tendrils of energy snake around his feet. "Did you really think I wouldn't be able to dodge that?" But it's a trap. Taehyun is already behind him, unleashing his domain skill, Apocalypse, as Cody's blade swings down to crush Min Ji-hong between them. Cody's blade connects, a powerful blow that should have cleaved right through him. But something is wrong. Cody looks down at his hand in absolute shock. He feels nothing. He stares at his sword, his mind reeling. The impact, the power, all of it just vanished. Min Ji-hong stands there completely unharmed, a small, swirling orb of energy held casually in his palm. Taehyun screams out a warning. "Cody!" Before Cody can react, Min Ji-hong counters, slamming a wave of energy into him that sends him flying. Cody skids across the floor, shaken but managing to land on his feet. He drops into a defensive stance, his golden armor cracking from the force of the blow. He stares at Min Ji-hong, completely bewildered. "You said you knew my face, but you didn't know anything about my skills?" With a casual stomp, Min Ji-hong shatters the ground, his expression one of utter disappointment. Disappointing. The orb in his hand pulses with an ominous, swirling energy, and in that moment, Taehyun sees it. He realizes Cody's sword, his own apocalypse skill, the chains of restraint, everything was being sucked into that strange orb. The system confirms it. His absolute power was completely nullified. And in that instant, Taehyun knows exactly what this is. He's seen this power before when he raided Zhonglong's lab. He remembers the scroll, the artifact that created a vortex that nullified all skills. A black hole that nullifies surrounding skills, he mutters. Min Jihong looks over, amused. Oh, Kim Taeyuan, you've seen this before? A wicked grin spreads across Taeyuan's face. I had a rough time once because of a scroll that had this skill. Min Jihong's eyes gleam. He admits that selling those scrolls was a nice source of income. A tempting power for the weak. He despises the weak, but he admits he hates awakened players who rely solely on their powers even more. Let's see if you're any different from them, shall we? He gathers a massive sphere of crackling orange energy. He unleashes the powerful blast, but Taehyun is already gone. With his skills nullified, Taehyun relies on pure, raw speed. He closes the distance in an instant, dodging the attack completely. Is that all you've got? Lame. With a flash of movement, Taehyun's dagger whips out. A spray of blood erupts as he lands a clean hit, catching Min Jihong completely off guard. Taehyun smirks. Looks like you didn't know about my skills either. But Min Jihong just laughs it off, explaining that the black hole can't absorb the power of an archduke. Taehyun's form shifts, red demonic wings unfurling from his back as he levels his dagger. Now it's hard to tell who was the one relying too much on their powers. Clutching his wound, Min Jihong realizes this is his first real fight against another contractor. He grits his teeth, his body beginning to change. This is how we're meant to fight. His arm transforms into a monstrous demonic limb as a dark aura swirls around him. The three contractors clash in a brutal explosion of raw physical power, tearing the very ground apart. Cody, his own transformation flaring, finally gets it. Archduke's skills can't be absorbed. Black, feathered wings erupt from his back as he unleashes his Lucifer form. Would have been nice if you told me that earlier, he growls at Taehyun. Now all three of them are in their demonic forms, a whirlwind of claws, wings, and destructive energy. Min Jihong, bleeding and battered, admits it's tough when they both attack at once. It's hard to hold back, but it's not his own strength he's talking about. He's complaining about the pathetic mana of the lesser demons in the castle. The ground beneath him cracks and shatters. He unleashes a massive shockwave, sending Taehyun and Cody flying. Taehyun grunts as the force slams into him. His transformed arm smashes into the wall, stopping his momentum. Min Jihong stands amidst the rubble, his face twisted in a grin. Seems I dragged this out too long. I got carried away.
He looks up to the ceiling, to an unseen master.
I apologize. In the shadows above, a pair of colossal, glowing red eyes open. A monstrous figure looms over them, a being of pure, primal power. Beast King Orgel, the true master of the castle, has arrived. Taehyun and Cody can only stare in horror at the overwhelming presence of a true archduke. Orgel berates his contractor, telling him that, with the power he was given, he should have crushed these two easily. With unbelievable arrogance, Min Jihong actually complains back. It feels like you didn't give me enough to work with. Could you give me a little more of that power? A massive, demonic fist clenches, crackling with energy. Orgel lets out a low rumble of amusement. How bold. You think you can demand something from me? But I'll consider it. Min Jihong lies on the floor, battered but triumphant. Orgel turns his glowing red eyes to Taehyun and Cody. Lowly meat puppets, the entertainment is over. He rises to his full, terrifying height. Try surviving against me now. Cody, Taehyun screams. Orgel has stepped in. We don't stand a chance. He looks at his rival, his resolve absolute. Just remember why we came here. You go on ahead. As Cody hesitates, Taehyun turns to face the Beast King alone, unleashing the full, terrifying power of the Vampire Lord to meet the impossible foe. With everything on the line, Taehyun unleashes the monstrous power of the Vampire Lord. He stands alone against the Beast King, buying precious time. A shockwave of pure red energy rips through the castle, shaking it to its very foundations. While the titans clash, Cody Wood races through the castle's dark corridors, making his escape. No narration needed, he cuts down the demonic guards in his path without a second thought. He moves with a desperate urgency, the guard screams echoing behind him. He knows he barely escaped Orgel's notice. His goal isn't to fight that monster, he has to find her. His mind is focused on one person. Where are you, Ricky Hollies? And then he senses it, a flicker of familiar energy. He stops, his hand glowing with a soft blue light. This is it. It's Ricky's skill. A small, pulsating orb of her mana left behind like a breadcrumb. He understands instantly. She's telling him where to go. As he turns, the demonic guards are stunned. What? How did you get here? Their confusion turns to a panicked shriek. A shriek that is cut short as Cody carves right through them without breaking his stride. No narration needed. Deep in the dungeons, Ricky trembles, chained to the wall, her energy nearly gone. But then she hears footsteps, not the heavy tread of a demon. She looks up, a weak smile crossing her lips. "You found me," she whispers. Taehyun stands before her, bruised and battered, but alive. He looks down at her, his expression a mix of relief and grim determination. "I came to repay my debt, Ricky." He kneels, gently helping her. "Coming all the way to this dangerous place just for that. You really are something," she says, her voice weak. Taehyun just replies, "A promise is a promise." "Where's Cody?" she asks. Taehyun explains he's searching from another direction, and that they don't have much time. Looks like the Archduke is on the move. He's surprised she knows. She reminds him that as an investigator for the World Player Association, it's her job to know these things. She describes the master of this castle, Archduke Orgel, whose monstrous power is more terrifying than anything she's ever faced. Taehyun's face is grim. "If you know that, then you know we need to run. Now." "I stalled him, but I don't know for how long." He asks if she can walk. "Unfortunately, my legs aren't working," she admits. Taehyun doesn't hesitate. "I'll support you. Let's get out of here quickly." But it's too late. The heavy metal grate of the dungeon begins to rise. Ricky's eyes widen in terror. As Taehyun helps her, she looks at him, a genuine sense of awe in her voice. "You're amazing, really. Ever since Zhanglong's lab, every time I thought I was going to die, seeing you makes me believe we can make it somehow." A sincere, heartfelt smile touches her lips. "Thank you for coming to save me, Taehyun." Taehyun is caught completely off guard by her earnestness, a faint blush creeping onto his face. He quickly helps her to her feet, trying to hide his expression. But Ricky's sharp eyes catch his reaction. "Did you really?" A monstrous voice booms through the chamber, cutting her off. "Think you could run from me?" Orgel stands before them, blocking their only escape. Taehyun pushes Ricky behind him, his face a mask of shock and dread. Orgel's gaze is fixed on Taehyun. He knew all along that with a hostage involved, this is exactly where he would go. Taehyun's face contorts in rage. "Fine, I can understand you chasing me, but..." He can't understand how Orgel is completely unharmed, even after taking a direct hit from Devour. Orgel grins, a terrifying, knowing smile. "That power of yours. Try using it on me again." Taehyun unleashes the Vampire Lord's power, a massive red dragon lunging at Orgel, but it has no effect, not a single wound. The Beast King just laughs, swatting the attack away like a pesky fly. A beam of blue energy erupts from Orgel's mouth, tearing right through the demonic construct. And in that moment, Orgel's eyes widen. He sees it now, clear as day, so his eyes weren't mistaken. This power is unmistakably the King's. A torrent of red and black energy swirls around Taehyun. Orgel recognizes it, noting it's still a pale imitation of the true King's power. A grim look of determination sets on Taehyun's face. He unleashes another volley of attacks, the blood sword of Igmun. But Orgel recognizes the authority instantly and dismisses it with contemptuous ease. Taehyun is thrown back, completely outmatched. He summons blood-red chains, but they too are useless. He calls forth the dragon's wrath, a massive aura of blue energy. Orgel just grits his teeth, enduring the attack without even flinching. Taehyun follows up with a physical blow, but it's like punching a mountain of solid rock. Orgel recognizes this power as well. That must be the Dragon Lord's authority. He activates his own skill, Beast Transformation, and with a single overwhelming punch, he unleashes his authority, sending Taehyun crashing backward. The force of the blow is immense, shaking the entire dungeon. Ricky can only watch in absolute horror. "I can't believe it, that a human can fight an archduke like that." She stares at Taehyun, her mind unable to comprehend what she's seeing. "Kim Taehyun, just what are you?" But then something impossible happens. As Orgel grabs Taehyun's arm, Taehyun grabs his right back. Orgel lets out a pained grunt, a flicker of surprise in his eyes, followed by a low, delighted chuckle. The chuckle erupts into a full-throated, maniacal laugh that fills the entire chamber.
This is fun. So fun.
I haven't felt this way in ages. He leans in close, his massive face inches from Taehyun's, wielding the powers of others, just like the king. He reminisces about the endless boredom since the king vanished. His only purpose was to fight the strongest, and with him gone, his days had become dull. Finally, I can really throw down again. Taehyun's arm is caught in a crushing grip, black energy searing his very flesh. Ricky screams his name in terror. Orgel looms over him, his eyes burning with a mad excitement. "Show me everything you've got, O key of the king," Taehyun curses, clutching his wounded arm. Devour the other Archduke's powers. None of them are working. The Beast King charges, ready to end it. Taehyun knows he's completely out of options. Now the only choice I have left, S.R., is this one thing. His face is a mask of desperate resolve. He utters one final plea. "Come forth, Rosaria." A swirling vortex of pink and purple energy erupts from the ground, a new, powerful presence entering the battlefield. Orgel halts his charge, sensing the new arrival. The Grand Succubus Queen appears, her shadowy tendrils spreading as she stands between Taehyun and the Beast King. 9.079. Orgel's eyes narrow. He recognizes her instantly. Rosaria, the king's most loyal retainer, has arrived. Taehyun collapses to his knees, clutching his arm, a pained but relieved smile on his face. "I was hoping I could end this without summoning you this time." Rosaria glances back at her new master, her expression unreadable. Her heterochromatic eyes, one red and one blue, blaze with power as she turns her full attention to the Archduke. The king's most loyal servant now faces one of his greatest enemies, ready to defend her master to the death. No narration needed. Trapped, with an Archduke ready to kill them, Taehyun makes his final gamble. He summons his most powerful servant, Rosaria. No narration needed. He catches his breath, clutching his wounded arm. He knows the truth. A summoned entity, even one as strong as her, could never stand up to an Archduke's true body. The risk is massive. The clash of their powers could destroy everything, and there's no guarantee Ricky would survive the fallout. But he has no other choice. Orgel looms over Rosaria, a flicker of surprise in his glowing eyes. He didn't realize she was already so close to the key. "When did you make a pact with that guy?" He puts the pieces together. "No, wait. No wonder I sense such strong incubus energy. So it wasn't Igmund's contractor, but yours." Rosaria's lips curl into a smirk, her demonic power flaring. "Bet you regret realizing that too late. This woman's no easy target." But Orgel just lets out a rumbling laugh. "Not an easy opponent? That's exactly what I was hoping for." Rosaria glances back at her master. "Contractor, you need to heal. Can you manage it on your own?" Taehyun grits his teeth, his body aching. "If I use blood frenzy, I can regenerate." "Good to hear," she says, and in that instant the world shifts, the stone dungeon dissolving into an ornate, impossible hall. "This place?" Taehyun asks. Rosaria explains it's her authority, her personal space, a domain separate from reality. Taehyun knows it's a bluff. All he can do right now is buy them some time, and even that won't last long. Rosaria tells him to focus on recovering. They'll deal with Orgel after. Taehyun agrees, but has one more request. "Could you bring in just one more person?" Suddenly, Ricky is ripped from the real world, tumbling through a vortex of light. She lets out a scream as she lands hard on a plush carpet. Dazed, she looks around. "What? The space just shifted." A calm voice cuts through her panic. "Ricky, would you please step aside?" She looks up and sees Taehyun sitting right beside her, bruised but calm. "Kim Taehyun? You vanished in an instant. Why are you here now?" "Sorry," he says, explaining. "This is a temporary refuge. We have to find a way out of this situation." Outside, in the real world, the two demonic titans face off. Orgel notices their disappearance. "The key's mana has vanished," he growls. "Did you conjure this with your authority?" Rosaria just smirks, crossing her arms. "Who knows? Even if I told you, I doubt that beastly brain of yours could understand it." Orgel's patience snaps. His voice drops to a terrifying growl. "Hand him back. He belongs to M.E., he roars, lunging forward. The battle begins, shaking the very foundations of the pocket dimension. Inside, Ricky quickly understands. So, while those two are fighting, we need to find a way to escape, Taehyun confirms. She nods, but one thing still doesn't make sense. You're the succubus queen's contractor, she says, watching red energy manifest around Taehyun's arm. Then how can you use the powers of other archdukes? She looks at him, her eyes wide with awe and suspicion. Everything you've done, it's all way too abnormal. She finally asks the question burning in her mind. Are you even really human? Taehyun meets her gaze, his expression unreadable. He reminds her of what she said when they first met, how people like them were monsters and they needed something to bind them together. My answer is still the same, he says with a tired smile. I'm a bit old-fashioned, so much so that I can't break a promise to a friend. He kneels before her, his answer simple and direct. I'm human. It's just that the skill I have can absorb the skills of others. Her eyes widen in stunned realization. So that's how you could use all those powers. She understands now, and Taehyun knows he can trust her. She'll keep his secret. But his deepest secret, the truth about his regression, that is something he can never tell her. Just then, the refuge shakes violently. The walls begin to crack. Taehyun gets to his feet. Now that we've cleared that up, shall we think of a solution? Because even now, out there, Rosaria is struggling, her shadowy tendrils barely holding the massive Beast King at bay. Taehyun admits the grim truth. I used every skill I had, but I couldn't stop Orgel. He turns to Ricky, his last hope. Ricky, don't you have any tricks up your sleeve? She thinks for a moment, her expression pensive. There's one that comes to mind, she says. A portal, a skill that opens a gate to specific coordinates. Taehyun urges her to use it, but she refuses. It's too dangerous. She's only ever used it to summon things, never to travel herself. She explains that a gate made of human mana is incredibly unstable. It could shut down mid-transfer, leaving them lost between dimensions forever. She hesitates, suggesting they find another way. But Taehyun's voice is firm. Ricky, you know it too. The refuge crumbles around them. There is no other way. He holds out his hand. It's time to make a decision. He looks at her, his eyes filled with an unwavering belief that cuts through all her fear. Ricky Hollies, I trust you! Her breath catches. That absolute faith. It's all she needs. She reaches out and takes his hand. The contract is sealed. In front of them, a brilliant gateway of pure light begins to form. But their time has just run out. Outside, Rosaria collapses, defeated, gasping out a final warning. Run away. That is as far as you go. Orgel stands over her and rips through the crumbling dimension. You've returned, Ki. Did you think you could keep hiding behind Rosaria's skirt? He mocks Taehyun, telling him that a king should be ruthless. If you inherited the king's power, you should fight accordingly. A massive red construct lunges from Taehyun's body, but Orgel catches it effortlessly. You already know it won't work on me. Is this your final outburst? Taehyun's eye glows with red light. I just got tired of listening to your nonsense, he screams at Ricky. Now! Open the portal, quickly! Okay, she cries, and they pour their combined mana into the gate. Orgel roars in fury, resorting to cheap tricks again. I won't let you escape! Taehyun summons a whirlwind of blood-red tendrils. Don't rush, just wait! The tendrils wrap around Orgel, holding him for a single, precious second. Taehyun clenches his fist, making a final, defiant promise. Someday I'll come for you again. He unleashes one last massive blast to cover their escape. Ricky looks back, her heart pounding. Was this really the right choice? But Taehyun's voice is calm. If you can't trust the world's greatest magician, who can you trust? Let's go and see what's on the other side. They leap into the blinding light. Taehyun lands hard in a strange reddish forest. He stumbles to his feet, a wave of relief washing over him. We did it! Ricky is right behind him, her face alight with pure joy. We really did it, Taehyun. I never imagined this would actually work. Shnine1082. She cheers, realizing they're probably the first people to ever cross a human-made gate. Taehyun just gives her a tired smile. See? I told you it would work. Ricky's eyes are bright with relief. I'm so glad. Because you were here, She trails off as a dark shadow looms up behind her. Taehyun's smile vanishes, replaced by a look of pure, utter shock. "Ricky!" No narration needed. Their desperate escape shatters in an instant. As they plummet through the blinding light of the portal, Taehyun can only scream Ricky's name, his hand stretched out towards her. But their hope is torn apart as a monstrous hand rips through the very fabric of the portal. It's the Beast King, Orgel. He's reached through dimensions just to drag them back. Brief musical pause. His voice, a low rumble of absolute power, echoes around them. He asks where they think they're going, his glowing red eyes promising there is no escape. In a horrifying blur, Ricky is ripped from Taehyun's grasp. A choked gasp escapes her lips as blood sprays from the impact, and Orgel's cruel voice declares that the real fun is only just getting started. The Beast King commands Taehyun to turn around and witness the price of his defiance. Orgel snatches Ricky out of the air, but Taehyun refuses to let go. He throws himself forward, lunging through the crumbling space between worlds to catch her. He manages to wrap his arms around her falling body, his panicked screams echoing her name. As he pulls her close, the devastating reality sets in. Her body feels broken in his arms. With blood trickling from her lips, he knows with chilling certainty that her bones are shattered, her insides crushed by Orgel's monstrous grip. A single thought screams through his mind. If he can't do something right now, she is going to die. His mind frantically searches for an answer. A healing skill? Not strong enough. Blood frenzy? That only works on himself. He thinks of Rosaria, but she's already gone, her sacrifice buying them this fleeting moment. As his thoughts spiral into despair, a weak voice cuts through his panic. Taehyun looks down, his frantic thoughts coming to a dead stop. It's Ricky. Looking up at him, she whispers that she was always prepared for a death like this. He can only stare, unable to process her words. She weakly reminds him of his promise to save her. A sad smile touches her lips as she tells him he more than kept his word, and that it's already too late to turn back now. Her eyes grow heavy, her breathing shallow. She looks at him, asking for one last favor. She reminds him that he can absorb the skills of others. Her request is unthinkable. She asks him to take her skill. Taehyun is frozen in shock and horror. She explains that she wants him to take her power, so she can continue to fulfill her duty to protect humanity even after she's gone. She looks at him with pleading eyes, asking him if he'll do this one last thing for her. Taehyun's hands tremble, unable to bear the weight of her final wish. As her life fades, a brilliant red energy, the very core of her power, begins swirling around her, offering itself to him. In her last moments, she thinks to herself that she has lived a life without regrets. Tears well in her eyes as the last of her strength finally gives out. But then, she silently corrects herself. There is one. Taehyun can only watch, helpless, as the red aura around her intensifies. Her one regret, she confesses, was that she should have asked him out at least once. And with that heartbreaking final thought, the light fades from her eyes. Taehyun is left alone, holding her body in a desolate, blood-red forest. Ricky Hollies is gone. Meanwhile, back in the crumbling castle of the Abyss, the battle between the other intruders rages on as Cody Wood and Min Ji-hong trade furious blows. Min Ji-hong is completely lost in the thrill of the fight, a crazed look in his eyes. This is what he lives for, a battle that makes his blood boil. But Cody isn't giving it his all. He knows he needs to get away, and fast. He can't afford to be tied down here. He lands a powerful blow, hoping to create an opening and make his escape. Min Ji-hong just sneers, seeing right through him. He mocks Cody for trying to run, pointing out how his mind is clearly somewhere else even as they fight. He leans in, his voice dripping with venom, telling Cody not to worry about Taehyun and the woman. He says it looks like Orgel has already caught up to them. With a sinister grin, he adds that he hasn't been able to sense their mana for a while, and wonders aloud just what could have happened. He lets out a fake sigh of disappointment, muttering what a shame it is he won't get to fight Taehyun again, but he's cut short. An invisible force yanks Min Ji-hong backwards. It's a summons from his master, Orgal. The sudden pull makes Cody's attack go wide, only managing to graze Min Ji-hong's arm. Cody refuses to believe Min Ji-hong's taunts, certain that Taehyun and Ricky are fine. Min Ji-hong just laughs, calling him an unrealistic fool before he's pulled violently away into the darkness below. From the depths of the castle, Orgel's voice booms, demanding his contractor appear at once. Min Ji-hong materializes before his master, a look of pure annoyance on his face. He complains that he was in the middle of dealing with an intruder. Orgel's massive hand clenches into a fist, the sound of cracking stone echoing in the hall. The Beast King's voice is final. I won't say it twice. Min Ji-hong can only click his tongue in frustration. Back on the battlefield, Cody asks if he's leaving. Min Ji-hong confirms that his whimsical master is calling for his pawn, telling Cody he's been spared for now, but he leaves him with an ominous warning. This is only the beginning. Soon, Earth will be consumed by a tide of uncontrollable chaos. He points a finger right at Cody, a wicked grin spreading across his face as he declares that he, Min Ji-hong, will be the one to bring that chaos to their world. And with that parting threat, he vanishes, leaving Cody alone in the silence of the ruined hall. Cody tries to make sense of it all. Orgel letting Min Ji-hong go at a time like this could only mean one thing, and a terrible realization dawns on him. A sense of dread fills his voice as he thinks of them. Ricky, Kim, Tae-yun. Back on what appears to be Earth under a blood-red sky, a portal opens and a group of players come rushing through. Leading the group is Cody Wood, having finally made his own escape from the abyss. He immediately demands to know where Tae-hyun and Ricky are, but his men are just as lost, until one of them spots a figure in the distance and shouts for everyone to look. A lone man is walking slowly through the desolate landscape, carrying someone in his arms. Cody's eyes narrow as the figure draws closer, his breath catching in his throat. Kim Tae-yun, it's him. And the person he's carrying is Ricky, her body limp and lifeless in his arms. The look in Cody's eyes says everything. A wave of disbelief and horror crashes over him. Tae-hyun finally reaches the group, his face a hollow mask of grief. He stops before Cody, the silence between them thick with tragedy. Cody is the first to speak, his voice heavy as he asks the question he already knows the answer to, if she passed peacefully. Tae-hyun can only look down at her, his voice a hollow whisper as he confirms it. He apologizes, blaming himself for not being able to save her. One of the other players tries to comfort him, saying it wasn't his fault, that Ricky made a noble sacrifice for them all. But Tae-hyun clenches his fist, the guilt crushing him. He thinks to himself that this only happened because he was too powerless to stop it. When Cody offers to take Ricky from him, Tae-hyun refuses. He says he'll carry her himself and tells them to take him to the U.S. Player Association. Cody looks at him, confused by the strange and urgent request. Tae-hyun explains, his voice steady with a grim new purpose. He has to deliver what Ricky left with him. It's his duty now to see that it's passed on properly. Sometime later, inside the U.S. Player Association headquarters, a tense meeting is taking place. An official formally thanks Tae-hyun for bringing Ricky home, acknowledging the great debt they owe him. But another official speaks up, his tone far less grateful. He complains that they lost many other players and are overwhelmed with the recovery efforts. Tae-hyun stands before them, his patience wearing thin. He tells them that whatever they have to say, they should get on with it. This remark infuriates one of the men, Gregor Gale. He slams his fist on the table, shouting that they don't have time for his whining, and calls Tae-hyun a failure. The word hangs in the air, a vile accusation. Failure? Suddenly, a chilling aura freezes the room. It's Cody. His eyes are fixed on Gregor, his voice dangerously low as he asks if that insult was meant for him. The official immediately shrinks back, stammering that he didn't mean it that way before turning his anger back toward Tae-hyun. But Tae-hyun cuts him off, his gaze cold and unwavering. He tells them they will soon see for themselves whether his efforts were valuable or not. A faint, glowing energy begins to gather in Tae-hyun's hand. The officials gasp, recognizing the unique power instantly. Gregor stares in disbelief, stammering, unable to understand how Tae-hyun could possess that skill. Tae-hyun calmly confirms their fears. He tells them it is indeed Ricky's skill, a power that allows him to retrieve stored memories. A glowing, crystalline object forms in his palm as he gives a single, quiet command. Memorize. He looks at the stunned officials, his expression grim. With this power, he is now going to show them Ricky's final words. Short musical intro, then fades slightly to allow narration. As Tae-hyun stood before the stunned officials, he felt the echo of Ricky's power settle within him. In her final moments, she had given him everything. He had absorbed 3 of her skills. The first was the very source of her legendary magic, a skill called Heart of a Higher Being. It formed a mana stone inside the user's body, granting them an almost limitless and fluid control over their mana. And in that moment, Taehyun finally understood her private tragedy, her obsession with the line between human and monster. It was because she herself carried the heart of one. The second skill was Portal, the very power she had used to rip them from Orgel's grasp in the abyss. A rare and priceless ability that could create warp gates across dimensions, a true lifeline in a world of monsters. Brief musical swell. And the final one was the power he was about to unleash, Memorize, a skill that records and replays memories like a living film. It was this ability that made Ricky the world's greatest investigator, and now it was his weapon to shatter their ignorance. Memorize was Ricky's unique skill, one of the officials shouted, his voice cracking with disbelief. How can player Kim Taehyun possibly use it? Taehyun knew he couldn't reveal the truth of his devour ability. They could assume Ricky found a way to transfer it. He silently apologized to her, knowing he would have to borrow her name one last time to see her mission through. Cody Wood's voice cut through the rising panic, his gaze locked on Taehyun. So, what are you going to show us with it? Taehyun didn't answer. He simply focused his will, and the glowing crystal in his hand pulsed with raw energy. A blinding flash of light erupted from the crystal, engulfing the room and pulling every one of them into the recorded memory. They were now seeing the world through Ricky's eyes. This was the intelligence she had uncovered just before her capture, deep within Orgel's fortress in the abyss. The scene resolved, showing a massive, ancient mural carved into the stone walls around them. The language of monsters was still a mystery back then. But the moment Ricky laid eyes on the mural, she didn't need a translation. She understood instinctively. The powerful beings seated on thrones of bone and shadow, they were all archdukes. There was the beast king Orgel, the monster they had just barely escaped. Next to him, the succubus queen Rosaria, a terrifyingly familiar face. The serpent vampire lord Igmun, the grotesque demon king Beelzebub, the regal and ancient dragon lord Hazard, the shadowy abyss king Jormungandr, and finally the sky king Lucifer, the very being contracted to Cody Wood. The mural told a story of 7 rulers locked in an eternal, violent war for control of the abyss. But as Ricky's gaze drifted upward, she saw it. An 8th throne, empty, sitting above all the others. A terrifying question hung in the air. Who, or what, did that empty throne belong to? The memory shifted. A cold, amused voice echoed from behind. You've managed to come quite far. It was Orgel looming over her. He looked down with utter contempt, calling her nothing more than a meat sack. This was the moment she had been discovered. The memory shattered, throwing the officials back into the harsh reality of the briefing room, gasping for air. One of them could only stammer, This can't be! The same man who had called Taehyun a failure was now shaking, his face pale with terror. He admitted that until now they had only identified 3 archdukes, Orgel, Igmun, and Lucifer. Cody's expression was grim. He added that they didn't even know the true extent of those 3's power. But now, thanks to the sacrifice of those who died in the abyss, they knew for certain. The horrifying truth finally sank in for everyone. If even a single one of these beings were to cross into their world, it would be enough to wipe out all of humanity. The official collapsed against the table, his mind reeling. But there aren't just 3, there are 7. And now you're saying there might be someone even above them? The threat was beyond anything they had ever imagined. Taehyun let the memory crystal dissolve into dust. The room fell silent, suffocated by the weight of their new reality. Meanwhile, back in the abyss, Min Jihong knelt before his master, Orgel. He asked if this was the end of their plans. Orgel confirmed it was. His physical form was still damaged from the battle, and he needed time to recover. Min Jihong found it hard to believe that a great Archduke of the Abyss was wounded by mere humans, and even needed his help. Orgel dismissed it as a simple accident, claiming he could have recovered on his own. He just didn't like to wait. He warned his contractor never to question him like that again, or he would be crushed. Min Jihong quickly apologized, then asked why Orgel had chased Taehyun so desperately. Orgel explained that Taehyun possessed a special ability, a power permitted only to a certain legendary individual. He was talking about the one who had once risen to the absolute pinnacle of the abyss, the one who led the archdukes themselves to challenge the realms above. A radiant figure of pure light filled the vision. The King of the Lower Realm. Min Ji-hong repeated the title, stunned, but Orgel told him that things were different now. He gave his contractor a new command: go to Earth. He ordered Min Ji-hong to accelerate his plans, to plunge the world into chaos, and to unlock the key to the King of the Lower Realm and present it to me. He was talking about capturing Tae-hyun. Orgel declared that he would take that key, subjugate the entire abyss, and rise as the new, undisputed Blood King. Min Ji-hong bowed his head, accepting his master's will. Back in the meeting room, the chairman finally broke the heavy silence, turning to Tae-hyun. He asked him what he planned to do now with this information. Another official stuttered that they needed an emergency meeting, though he doubted they had any real way to counter this. Cody quietly asked if they truly planned to handle this with just the U.S. alone. Tae-hyun stepped forward, his voice firm. He told them this was no longer a matter for one country. The future of all humanity was at stake. The entire world needed to know. The chairman warned him that releasing this intel could trigger uncontrollable, worldwide chaos. But Tae-hyun argued it could also be the one chance for humanity to finally unite its strength. He reminded them that Ricky never served only her own country's interests. Please, he urged, honor her will. The chairman was silent for a long moment, weighing the terrifying options. He finally relented. Very well, they would share the information with the World Player Association. But Tae-hyun wasn't finished. He told them that through Memorize, he saw something else in Ricky's final moments. A figure of light, hidden right here, deep beneath the association headquarters. The officials were floored. You've even discovered that much? Cody realized in that instant that Tae-hyun had become their single most important ally. The chairman simply said, I see. He looked at Tae-hyun with a new, heavy gravity and asked him to come with them. They descended deep underground in a silent, high-tech elevator, entering a top-secret facility that few had ever seen. As they walked, the chairman began to reveal a hidden piece of history. The world before and after the discovery of the abyss were two completely different places. The common belief was that humanity's awakening allowed them to harness resources from the abyss, fueling their growth. But that, he revealed, was not the truth. The abyss and the awakening didn't happen at the same time. At first, the abyss was just a hell that humanity was powerless against. It only became a land of opportunity after the U.S. Navy recovered something from the depths of the Pacific Ocean. He stated that the moment humanity came into contact with this, people began to awaken. They arrived at a massive chamber, and Tae-hyun was left speechless by what he saw. Floating in a massive containment tube was a faceless, muscular being of pure white light. The chairman introduced it as their salvation, the force that evolved mankind. They called it No Name. He added that you could call it a god, and it wouldn't be far from the truth. Tae-hyun stared at the being, his mind racing. A god, no name, a chilling realization washed over him. This was not the king. This was not the being that sent him back in time. The chairman continued, saying that America had been hiding this massive secret all this time, believing an elite few must guide humanity's progress. Sadly, he admitted that for all their secrecy, they had gained nothing from it since that first awakening. No one had been able to draw any more power from No Name. He claimed, however, that they were finally starting to uncover small clues to its secrets. But as he spoke, Tae-hyun noticed something. He thought to himself, just now, something. It looked like it moved. A faint pulse of light emanated from the containment tube. The being's smooth, featureless face slowly turned, and on its blank surface, multiple red, demonic eyes snapped open, glaring right at them. Everyone in the room froze, paralyzed by absolute terror. The silent god, humanity's supposed savior, was awake, and it did not look benevolent at all. Humanity's greatest secret, a captive god, has just opened its eyes. And for the first time in decades, it's not just awake, it's looking right at someone. The chairman stammers its name, his voice trembling with sheer terror. No Name. On its smooth, featureless face, 3 demonic red eyes are now wide open, glowing with an unsettling light. The chairman panics, shouting, "What's happening? This has never happened before." Decades of silence, shattered in a single moment. He yells for his research team, but Tae-hyun cuts him off. He can feel it. This is more than just waking up. A jolt of ice runs through Tae-hyun's veins. It's looking at Make. The gaze of this ancient being is locked onto him and him alone. A voice echoes, not in the room, but directly inside his head. "You're different from the rest, as expected of the one who regressed with the king's power." Taehyun is stunned. It spoke, and it knows everything. The two biggest secrets of his existence laid bare before this creature. The being's voice continues in his mind. It's almost time for the chains of reincarnation to unlock. As it speaks, the entire facility begins to tremble violently. The chairman feels the vibrations, knowing something is terribly wrong with their state-of-the-art prison. Taehyun shouts at them, "We need to get out of here!" But one of the officials refuses, wanting to observe this unprecedented event. Taehyun realizes with dawning horror they can't hear the voice. No Name offers him a deal, its voice resonating in his soul. "Do you wish to learn the truth? Then your mana, the king's power, release it." The air crackles with energy, a choice that could change everything, and he has only a split second to make it. He turns to the panicking officials and says two words, "I'll stay." They look back in shock as a storm of dark red mana erupts from Taehyun's body, flooding the chamber. "What do you plan on doing?" one of them screams. "Even an SS-rank player won't be safe in here." Taehyun ignores them, his focus entirely on No Name. He tells them he needs to check something. Cody, ever the pragmatist, immediately takes charge, ordering everyone out. He knows Taehyun is about to do something drastic. As they leave, the last thing they see is Taehyun, shrouded in a whirlwind of power, facing down a god. Taehyun extends his hand, his mana swirling like tendrils of blood-red smoke. He calls out to the being, "Now, show me that truth you speak of." "No," Name responds, its voice booming in his mind. "God." And with that single word, a wave of blinding energy washes over Taehyun. When the light fades, he finds himself in a pure, white, empty space. No Name's voice echoes around him. "You're brave, Key of the King." The being floats before him, its form now less solid, almost ethereal. "As you wish, I will answer your questions." Taehyun doesn't hesitate. He has countless questions, but he starts at the source. "Are you really God?" No Name clarifies. What humans call a god and what it truly is are different things. But here, there isn't a better word to describe it. Taehyun scoffs. A god captured by humans hardly seems all-powerful. No Name explains further. "To be specific, I am not God itself, but a fragment of one. It's just a single piece of a much greater being, powerless on its own. All it has is a general direction." When Taehyun asks where that is, the answer is simple: the place where my whole self is. Taehyun struggles to understand. So there's a real God out there, and this fragment is the key to finding it? That's correct, the being confirms. And humanity began awakening for that very purpose. And, no, it is also the reason why you, who met the king, awakened as well. The pieces start clicking into place. Taehyun unleashes his questions. Then is the king's power the power of God? Why did he have me regress? Where is he now? The white void shatters, and Taehyun is thrown into a new vision, a war-torn, apocalyptic city. A gatebreak is happening all around him. He recognizes the architecture. This is New South Korea. But something feels off. He feels a strange sense of wrongness, like a memory that doesn't belong to him. Then he sees it. A massive statue of a hero on horseback, a monument that never existed in his world. No Name's voice explains, "That's right. This place isn't your dimension. This is where the king is originally from." A younger version of the king is thrown back by an explosion, fighting for his life. He's facing down a massive, terrifying monster. This, No Name explains, is the king's past. The king's hand begins to glow with a faint white light. As the monster charges, he awakens his power. Taehyun watches, a chilling recognition dawning on him. The king was a child born with one of the scattered fragments of God. In a moment of danger, he awakened, his body moving on instinct, just like so many other players had. Taehyun feels a jolt of familiarity. This scene, he's seen it before, in a dream, right after his own regression. He's witnessing the king's origin story firsthand. The vision fast-forwards, showing the king radiating immense power, a being of pure light. He reaches out, his strength overwhelming everything in his path. With this newfound power, he soon conquered the entire abyss. he took his place on the empty throne. He became a true king, with 7 archdukes ruling at his side. Taehyun is confused. He doesn't understand what being drawn to God has to do with conquering the abyss. No Name explains that becoming the king of the lower dimension is a required step to reach the next stage, and what comes after is the unavoidable war with the upper realm. Only by winning these species wars does one earn the right to challenge God. And so, the king fought. He fought against the beings of the upper realm alongside his archdukes, but the upper realm is occupied by beings far closer to God. In the end, the king failed, but he had the power of regression. He tried again and again and again and again. Through countless cycles of failure and death, his human mind slowly warped until he was something else entirely. And one day, he realized he was not the one for the job. He needed to find someone else. He needed my key. That, No Name reveals, is the meaning of Taehyun's existence. His purpose is to carry on the king's duty, to end this unending war, and to reach God. The words echo in Taehyun's mind. King, key, regression. It all clicks into place with a horrifying clarity. Is that so? But he still has questions. Why did God send out his fragments, and why is the king so obsessed with reaching him? And the most important question of all, why me? No Name's answer is simple. The answers to those questions are beyond its understanding. It is just a fragment. It doesn't know. Taehyun clenches his fist. So I have to find out for myself. No. Name reminds him, you received the powers of the king, not God. So your path is not bound to ours. You may just enjoy your life as you wished during your regression. It's a choice. He can abandon this cosmic war and live the peaceful life he once dreamed of. The vision fades, but the question hangs in the air, heavy and unanswered. What will you do? Back in the real world, the elevator ascends, the facility groaning and shaking around them. The chairman is filled with regret. I should have stayed. I might have learned something, helped humanity, Cody wonders. If Taehyun is okay, he knows Taehyun isn't one to act foolishly, however. As they reach the surface, a brilliant blue portal rips open in front of them. Kim Taehyun steps out, completely unharmed. Cody calls out his name, a mix of relief and suspicion in his voice. The chairman rushes forward, recognizing Ricky's portal skill. He bombards Taehyun with questions. And No Name? What about God? Taehyun's face is a cold, unreadable mask. He gives them a one-word answer. Disappeared. The chairman grabs him, demanding to know what he means. Taehyun elaborates, his voice chillingly calm. Well, absorbed by me is a better way to put it. The official's face drains of all color. What? A cold aura begins to radiate from Cody. He looks at Taehyun, his voice tight with controlled anger. Kim Taehyun, I have respected your ways until now. But this is one step too far. He steps forward, his presence immense. Don't you think we deserve an explanation? Taehyun remains silent, turning to face him. The ground beneath them seems to crackle with tension. The two strongest players on Earth now stand opposed. A new and dangerous conflict about to ignite. Outside the U.S. Player Association, the air is thick with tension. Cody Wood stands opposite Kim Taehyun, demanding answers for an act that just shook the foundations of their world. Taehyun looks at Cody, knowing he can't possibly explain the whole truth, but he has to give them something. He begins explaining that when he faced No Name, he heard a voice. He followed its instructions, and in doing so, the being was absorbed into him. Cody presses him, Is that all? What else did you talk about? Taehyun's eyes narrow slightly. That, I can't tell you right now. The truth of the king and the coming war was too much for them to handle. The U.S. chairman explodes, yelling at him not to dodge the question, declaring that No Name was a priceless asset of the United States. But Cody silences him with a single word. Brief musical pause. Fine. The chairman stares at Cody in shock, unable to believe he's simply letting it go. Cody has one last question. Wait, what do you intend to do now? Taehyun's gaze is distant, already focused on a purpose far beyond this confrontation. I'm going to find that out, what I'm truly capable of. Cody seems to accept this. Taehyun states that he has delivered Ricky's last will, and now he's returning to New Korea. The chairman panics again, shouting for Cody to stop him. But Cody cuts him off, his tone grave. Chairman, don't you understand? He looks at Taehyun's retreating back with a complex mix of awe and apprehension. Kim Taehyun has surpassed me. There is probably no one left on Earth who can stop him now. The chairman is speechless. What? He assumes it's because Taehyun absorbed no name, lamenting that they never could. Cody offers a different perspective. Try thinking about it differently. It wasn't that Kim Taehyun absorbed no name chases after. So, yes too, Ias quotes Kim Taehyun. He concludes that it would be incredibly unwise to make an enemy of someone who has been chosen by a god. Cody's gaze is fixed on the future. The game has changed entirely. They were no longer simply dealing with a powerful player. Shortly after, the world is rocked by a stunning announcement. The World Player Association announces the deaths of 5 SS-ranked players, including the beloved hero Ricky Hollies. They also release the information she died to obtain, revealing to a terrified public the existence of the 7 archdukes who rule the Abyss. The world mourns the fallen heroes who sacrificed themselves for humanity's future. But that grief is quickly overshadowed by a chilling, palpable fear of the monsters that now have names and faces. Back in New Korea, Chairman Ji Jin-hee meets with Taehyun, his face etched with concern. He asks if Taehyun is hurt. Taehyun simply replies, "No, I'm fine." The chairman offers his condolences, knowing that even if Taehyun's body is uninjured, his heart must be heavy. Taehyun quietly agrees. The chairman then shifts the topic. He knows it's a difficult time, but he heard Taehyun was planning to focus on the Abyss. He asks if the discovery of the archdukes has changed his mind. No? Taehyun's expression is hard as steel. On the contrary, the Abyss needs me more than ever now. The chairman seems to expect this, but his aide suddenly speaks up, stopping him. Taehyun looks at him, confused. "Do you have something to tell me?" The aide reveals that the chairman had planned to keep something from him, but he feels Taehyun deserves to know the truth. He explains that, while Taehyun was away, a mysterious new epidemic began spreading worldwide, causing gray spots and a high fever. It's a new disease. A jolt runs through Taehyun. Those symptoms, it was the gray plague from his past life. Even after he defeated its source, it had returned. He can't understand it. He dealt with the source in advance. Its spread should have been prevented. How? The aide adds that their investigation revealed this wasn't natural. Experts in New Korea have concluded that the plague appears to be man-made, and all intelligence points to one culprit, the malignant guild. The name hits Taehyun like a physical blow. The chairman adds that while the guild is dangerous, they shouldn't have the resources to create a virus like this alone. They suspect someone powerful has joined them. The aide explains that the guild is based in New Korea, and they're already planning a large-scale eradication. But before he can finish, Taehyun turns the tables. "I have a question for you, Chairman." He reveals that he encountered the leader of the malignant guild in Orgel's castle. He demands to know Min Ji-hong. Who the hell is he? The chairman and his aide are both stunned into silence. The chairman jumps to his feet, shouting, "You met Min Ji-hong!" Taehyun confirms it, adding that Min Ji-hong has earned Orgel's trust and acts like he knows the chairman personally. The aide mutters in disgust, but the chairman stops him. "No, this is my burden to share." He tells Taehyun he never meant to hide it, but didn't want to place an even heavier weight on his shoulders. But now, he will tell him everything. The story begins over 20 years ago. Back when he was just an active player on the front lines, not the chairman. One day, a dungeon break occurred in a remote province and he rushed there immediately. But he was too late. The monsters were already gone. All that was left was a single child, standing amidst the rubble, having just awakened from the trauma of losing his parents. That boy, just 7 years old, had unintentionally stopped a B+ rank dungeon break all by himself. That was how Chairman Ji Jin-hee first met Min Ji-hong. He saw the boy's incredible talent and the storm of rage swirling within him. He felt responsible for not saving the boy's parents. He felt a duty to guide him. So, he took the boy in and began to train him personally. He pushed him hard, hoping his hatred for monsters wouldn't lead him astray, hoping that one day he'd become New Korea's savior. Min Ji-hong's talent exceeded every expectation. He reached the top tier of players before he even finished high school. But looking back now, the chairman sees only his own failure. He realizes he pushed the boy too far. Taehyun listens silently, lost in thought. The chairman explains that now there are strict rules for entering the Abyss, but back then, there were none. Even as a child, Min Jihong was allowed to work for the association. Many players wanted to team up with New Korea's rising star, but despite his exceptional abilities, accidents kept happening. In Min Jihong's raid teams, there were always casualties. When the incidents kept repeating, the association finally launched an investigation. And they discovered a shocking truth. Min Jihong had been intentionally sending his fellow players to their deaths. When they asked him why, his answer was chillingly simple. How do you expect me to kill monsters while worrying about the weak? He believed that if they survived, they'd thank him for making them stronger. The association judged his ideology to be incredibly dangerous. Fearing the blame, they tried to erase his data and eliminate him quietly. In response, Min Jihong killed the players they sent after him and fled, becoming an international high-level criminal. Tae-hyun pieces it together. Min Jihong is completely deluded. He believes tragedy made him stronger, and now he applies that twisted logic to others, thinking he's saving the world. The chairman looks away, filled with guilt. I never looked into his heart. I just pushed him forward. That's on me. Tae-hyun remains silent, processing the tragic story. The aide tries to defend the chairman, but Tae-hyun cuts him off. He looks at the chairman with a smirk. If you saw he was going astray, you should have disciplined him. Isn't that a father's role? He then makes a declaration. I'll capture Min Jihong and give you that chance. The chairman can only look at him, stunned. Tae-hyun adds that he doesn't like how that guy looks down on the weak either, because he, more than anyone, knows the pain of being powerless. The aide asks if he'll join their operation. Tae-hyun agrees but says not immediately. There are things he needs to take care of first. It's hard to focus on a fight with something this big looming in his mind. He looks at his own status window, at a new quest that appeared the moment he met No Name. Quest, countdown to the racial war has now begun. The fate of worlds is now on a timer. Later, Tae-hyun stands inside his private castle in the abyss. A familiar voice speaks from the throne. Did you see it, contractor? I figured it was about time for it to begin. It's Rosaria. She asks him why he has such a long face. She lounges on her throne, looking down at him. Do I look that bad to you? Tae-hyun asks if it's because of him. The damage she took from her fight with Orgel was worse than he thought. Rosaria scoffs. She tells him he clashed with an archduke's power. Getting away with this much damage was lucky. Tae-hyun then asks why the castle is in such a state, seeing the damage around them. Rosaria dismisses it. Just before his battle, Igmoon paid her a visit. A nuisance, but she tells him not to worry. It's just the price she pays for having such an exceptional contractor. Tae-hyun looks at her, his voice firm. Rosaria, I'll make sure they never treat you like that again. She perks up at his tone. Oh? What's with that? Just hearing you say it lifts my mood. Tae-hyun's expression is deadly serious. Rosaria senses the shift in him. Contractor, something about you has changed. He reveals the truth. I met the god and heard the truth of the king. Rosaria is left utterly speechless, her eyes wide with shock. Tae-hyun stands before her, a harbinger of the coming storm. Rosaria, the racial war is coming. Rosaria is still reeling from Tae-hyun's revelation. You didn't get the divine item? She asks, her voice laced with disbelief. How is that possible? Tae-hyun explains that a shard of God also existed in his world. He happened to meet it, and they had a conversation. He then reminds her of something she once said, that even if someone had the right to know about the king, there would be nothing they could do. With a newfound resolve in his eyes, he tells her, it's different now. Brief musical swell. Rosaria's eyes widen as the full weight of his words sinks in. You've reached it, even faster than I expected, she says, a slow, knowing smile spreading across her face. This isn't a coincidence. It's inevitable. Thanks to you running wild, everything has accelerated. She leans forward, her gaze intense. If you heard the truth, then you must have realized your destiny. So, coming here before me, does that mean you have an answer? Tae-hyun recalls. No Name's final words, that he inherited power from the king, not from God, and so he wasn't forced to follow their path. He was free to choose. The choice was his, walk away and live a peaceful life, or step forward into a cosmic war. The question echoed in his mind. What will you do? He had made his decision. He reflects on his journey. At first, his regression was just about getting even. He wanted to release all the resentment he'd built up living as a powerless, non-awakened human. This time around, he just wanted to be strong. to finally grasp the happiness with his family that was stolen from him in his first life. He thinks back on everything he's learned, about the archdukes, about Ricky's sacrifice, about the true nature of this world. But the deeper he delved into its secrets, the more certain he became of one thing. The king didn't choose him by accident. No name had said the king was simply moved by his will and tenacity at the moment of his death, just moved by his will. No, it was more than that. The king had hopedaus. He hoped that someone with such an unbreakable spirit could finally share the heavy burden he had carried alone for so long. He remembers the vision of the king, broken by countless regressions, finally giving up on himself. Now that he understands that pain, that impossible weight, he stands firm, his voice resolute. His eyes blaze with red energy as he makes his declaration. I will walk the same path as the king. This wasn't just about some cosmic duty anymore. This was about protecting his own world. He would be the one to finish this war. He looks directly at Rosaria, his own reflection visible in her crimson eyes. Rosaria, lend me your strength. A faint, spectral image of the king appears behind him. With a confident smirk, Taiyun makes her a promise. I'll take you to a higher place. Rosaria scoffs. Quite the grand ambition. But you're the key, not the king. You still have a long way to go to match him. As she speaks, a surge of raw power erupts from Taiyun. A system message flashes in his mind. Due to an unknown force, his rank has been updated to SS. A colossal wave of red and black energy explodes from him, shaking the very foundations of the castle as a new level of power awakens. Rosaria is thrown back, wings spread, completely shocked. When did you power up this much? Taiyun, now glowing with a furious red aura, explains. When I decided to walk the same path as the king, the shard of God fused with me. He looks at her, his power undeniable. Even now? Do you still not trust me? Rosaria is silent for a moment, and then she breaks into a wild, unrestrained laugh. She admits that when the king first said he'd pass on his power, she strongly opposed it. She believed only the king himself could carry that burden. But it seems I was mistaken. Her expression softens, her gaze filled with a newfound respect. She looks at him, not as a master, but as something more. A nostalgic feeling washes over her, reminding her of a time long past. A time when she was just a maid, first pledging her loyalty to the original king. The dynamic has shifted completely. The hierarchical relationship between us is gone, she declares. Contractor, I now regard you as an equal partner. She takes a sip of her wine, getting down to business. All right, you said the species war was approaching. How much do you know? Taiyun tells her what little he knows, that after conquering the abyss, beings from a higher realm will invade. He remarks that the god wasn't very forthcoming with the details. Rosaria slams her glass down playfully. You deceived me. But she quickly relents with a smile. You sly bastard. If you'd led with that, I wouldn't have agreed to help. She sighs, becoming serious. Then I'll tell you what I know. But it's not the full picture. She explains that after the domain war ends, the species war begins. It happens because the lower world's king grows too strong, and the kin of the higher realm don't want another god rising. Or, more precisely, the Akinga of the upper realm doesn't want it. Taiyun is surprised. There's a king in the upper realm, too? Yes, Rosaria confirms. A monster from the abyss, much like their king, who also possessed a shard of God. And with that power it ascended and reached the god, the very first one to do so. Its name is Vamal, the demon dragon king. The name hits Taiyun hard. Vamal. That was the very dragon the king had fought in his memories. He asks why they fight if they're from the same divine source. Rosaria corrects him. Vamal reached the top, but rejected his purpose and tried to replace God instead. Now he seeks to sit on the throne of creation himself. The original king wanted to stop him. That's why the upper king attacks any new lower king, seeing them as a threat. Taiyun asks why the war hasn't already started. Rosaria explains that there's some kind of spell in place, likely set by their king, preventing a direct invasion. So until the time is right, we must defeat all the archdukes and build an army to face the upper realm. Dahyun finally understands, so that was the true purpose of the domain war. With that, Rosaria prepares to brief him on the state of the abyss. The war for the Seven Thrones is about to begin. Now, make your choice, contractor. She extends a hand towards him. Where will you begin? Taehyun looks at her outstretched hand, his mind already made up. It'll be Orgel. A flash of Ricky's final moments passes through his mind. I have a grudge to settle with him. Rosaria warns him that Orgel has the largest territory. In a war of attrition, they'd be at a disadvantage, and the other archdukes might interfere. Just then, a succubus maid bursts into the room screaming, "Your Majesty!" She delivers an urgent report about the Western Territory. She hands Rosaria a scroll. Rosaria scans it, a sly smile forming on her lips. It seems the perfect stage has just appeared. She looks at Taehyun. You said you'd take me to the top, right? Then prove that wasn't just talk, contractor. The scene shifts to Rosaria's Western Territory. The barren desert, a disputed land she shares with the Archduke Igmun. A fierce battle is raging. Rosaria's succubus forces are clashing with a horrifying skeletal enemy. One of Rosaria's knights is locked in a desperate struggle. The enemy is too fast, too powerful. It lets out a piercing shriek, and lands a devastating blow, tearing through the knight's armor. The knight, Lady Kotkiran, falls to her knees, crying out in pain. She is one of the Grand Succubus Knights, an SS+ rank, but she is completely outmatched. A chilling voice echoes across the battlefield. Is this all you've got? A terrifying figure descends from the sky, a woman with stitched skin and a crown of thorns. Her name is Bloodia, rank SSS. She sneers. So much for Rosaria's treasured subordinate. She continues to mock them, calling Rosaria's people bottom-tier fodder. The wounded knight glares up at her, spitting blood. Don't you dare insult my queen. Bloodia's foot snaps out, grabbing the knight by the throat. If you want to say that, Aro, you should have beaten me first. She slams the knight into the ground, crushing her underfoot. She looks down at the defeated succubi. In the abyss, the only rule is survival of the fittest. You and your people will submit to me, Bloodia, and to the Crimson Archduke I serve. She turns to the remaining soldiers, declaring the barren desert now belongs to Lord Igmun. But a new voice cuts in, calm and amused. Survival of the fittest, huh? I like that. Bloodia and her troops turn in surprise. A lone human is walking towards them. Why is a human here? Bloodia demands to know who he is. Taehyun's face splits into a confident grin. I'm the one you looked down on. Oh, the proud queen's mercenary. In the brutal, unforgiving world of the abyss, most creatures are born without thought or reason. Life is a grim, endless cycle of violence. Here, power is the only language that matters. For the mindless monsters that populate this realm, life is simple. They eat, they sleep, and they destroy anything in their path. But every so often, things are different. Out of the countless masses, a mutant is born, one with a chilling intelligence in its eyes, destined to rise above the rest. Brief musical sting. These rare beings are chosen to rule, destined to climb over the bodies of the herd and led. Just like humans, monsters instinctively recognize a pecking order. Strength determines your status, and status determines your survival. Bloodia knew this better than anyone. She remembers that those with status are inevitably bound to clash with others who are just as strong, just as ambitious. The abyss is the ultimate survival of the fittest, a relentless battle where the weak are devoured and the strong rise. And in her long life, Bloodia was never the one to be eaten. She was always the predator. She cut down anyone who dared call themselves strong, clawing her way up the bloody ladder of this hell. And when she thought there were no rivals left, when she stood at what she believed was the peak, she met him. The true apex predator of the abyss, a being on a completely different level, an archduke. Igmun, the serpent vampire lord. Her glorious record, her entire history of victory, was shattered in an instant. She was met with an overwhelming and absolute defeat. For the first time in her life, Bloodia understood. There was someone of a higher status, a power she couldn't even comprehend. Igmun looked down on her, his voice dripping with condescension. Between you and me, he asked, do you still fight, knowing there's a gap you could never bridge? He was telling her this was her limit, the end of her road. But he offered her a way out, a single path to surpass that limit, to receive power from a monster of a higher rank. He extended his hand. Will you become my vassal? Bloodia trembled, her fists digging into the dirt. It wasn't really a choice. It was the ultimate humiliation. To bend the knee to another, to admit she was weaker. But that single moment of disgrace gave her an astonishing rise in rank. Power flooded through her, and she thought to herself, "Good. With this power, I can do it." She decided to play the long game, hide her ambition, grow stronger under his shadow, and one day she would aim for the position of Archduke herself. Which brings us back to the present. As she faces Taehyun, she lets out a scream of pure disbelief. All that ambition, all that planning, and now she, with her dreams of ruling the abyss, was being completely overpowered by a mere subordinate of Rosaria, the weakest of all archdukes. And not just any subordinate, but a lowly human. Taehyun looks back at her, his expression utterly unfazed. His hand shoots out, catching her attack with ease. The sound of her claws screeching to a halt echoes through the silence. In that instant, she feels an overwhelming pressure, an aura that doesn't belong to a mere human. It's the power of an archduke, radiating from him. She recognizes it as Rosaria's, but it's too late. Taehyun's other hand is already at her neck, a blade of pure energy poised to end her. A smirk plays on his lips as he asks with a cold, casual tone, "Looks like I won?" He leans in closer. "You said it's survival of the fittest, so now you are my prey. But I don't really have a taste for eating monsters." He pushes the energy blade closer to her throat. "You barged into someone else's home talking about taking over, so I can't just let you go either." He dismisses her completely. "You're one of Igmoon's underlings, right? Then there's no point talking to you. Go fetch your boss." She grinds her teeth, a guttural sound escaping her stitched mouth. "No." Her body begins to glow with dark energy. "I'm Bloodia." With a furious roar, her power explodes. "Not a lackey. I'm a grand monster destined to rise to the top of the abyss." But her desperate scream is cut short. Taehyun simply lifts his hand, and the monstrous jaws of his devour skill materialize, ready to swallow her whole. A thought crosses his mind as the form consumes her. Come to think of it, this is one way to deal with things. He glances over at Rosaria's anxious subordinates. He needs to dispose of Igmoon, Rosaria's rival. He smirks to himself. He remembers a time when he struggled against SS-Rank monsters like her. It feels almost nostalgic. Now, he can take down a creature of this level without even trying. A system window flashes before his eyes, a dizzying list of his powerful SS-Rank skills. But then he notices something new. A series of messages pop up, informing him that the mana costs for several skills have been recalibrated. He murmurs the word, recalibration? He wonders if it's because his devour skill leveled up, or because he absorbed one of Igmoon's direct vassals. Either way, a smile spreads across his face. At this rate, he might even be able to take down the archdukes whose locations are still unknown. But his thought is cut short by a sudden surge of energy. Rosaria's subordinates cry out in alarm. "Contractor!" Bloodia's remains dissolve into a puddle of dark blood on the ground. As Taehyun expected, she wasn't much of a fight. A shadowy figure begins to form from the puddle. Taehyun watches, unimpressed. But as the figure solidifies, he realizes what's happening. The vampiric archduke, Igmoon, stands before him, summoned against his will. Taehyun thinks that pulling him out here is a success in itself. Taehyun smirks. "What a coincidence! I was looking for you. You saved me the trouble." Igmoon, surrounded by a vortex of dark energy, looks down at him. "Very well, shall we celebrate our reunion?" His gaze is fixed on Taehyun, a flicker of recognition in his eyes. He knows exactly who he's facing, the key of the king. Meanwhile, back on Earth, night has fallen over the city. Inside the Korean Player Association, Chairman Ji Jin-hee stands in his dimly lit office, looking out at the sprawling city lights. He adjusts his cuffs, lost in thought. He picks up a framed photograph from his desk. It's a picture of him in his younger days, standing proudly with his old team. He looks at the faces, a sad smile on his lips. "You're all so young," he says to himself, letting out a heavy sigh. "The fact that I keep reminiscing must mean I've truly gotten old." Suddenly, his office door bursts open. An aide rushes in. "Chairman, you're still here." Ji Jin-hee turns calmly. "I was about to leave. What is it?" The aide delivers the urgent news. They've found movement at the suspected base of the malicious guild. They're awaiting the association's orders. Ji Jin-hee's expression hardens, his one good eye filled with cold resolve. He doesn't hesitate. Gather all national-level players immediately, he commands, already striding out of the office. I'll head to the site myself. His aide looks worried, but the chairman stops. What is it? The aide explains his concern. Player Kim Tae-hyun hasn't returned yet, and they can't reach him. Are we okay on our own? Ji Jin-hee's voice is firm. Since when has the New Korea Player Association become so reliant on just one player? The aide immediately apologizes. The chairman softens his tone slightly. It might be a good thing that we handle this ourselves. Player Kim Tae-hyun said he had something he needed to take care of. He continues, thinking of the young man who now carries the weight of the world. He has a path he's chosen to follow. A lonely, difficult path in the depths of the abyss. To a child walking the right path, Ji Jin-hee says with determination, I want to finally become a strong supporter. He remembers the day he first met Tae-hyun, a memory that now feels like a lifetime ago. He walks shoulder to shoulder with his aide, his purpose clear. Let's do what we need to do. His face is set in stone, his gaze fixed on the battle to come. This isn't just another mission for him, it's the final battle.